Bitch, you know I'm sexy. Blah, 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 sexy. Something sexy.
What's funny is until I actually select YouTube, it still holds the image from the last time that it was active, which was last stream.
That's
So it
funny.
still shows the three picture of me, you, and Haley.
That's funny. Oh, it says I just got the notification that says we're live.
What's funny is until I actually select YouTube, it still holds the image from the last time that it was active.
It's funny because when I was going back and
So it still
rewatching,
shows the three picture of me, you, and Haley. You talk.
funny. Oh, it says I just got the notification.
Okay, good. We can hear you.
What's funny is like
I think I finally nailed the perfect volume for myself, though.
I think yeah, it's really funny when you go back and you listen to it. It's like our audio levels have. In fact, I kind of want to turn mine up a little bit. That's okay. Our audio levels have like sort of like evened out as this has gone on. It's very funny.
Because it's like it's about every time figuring out, because I changed mine for Minecraft Monday, so I don't just leave it in the same position. So it's like I kind of fine tune it a little bit every time I switch it back.
I found ever since you start putting it on the table and you don't like have it like right next to you and it's a little ways off. It's the same thing for me when like we're not not right next to it. It makes the audio levels just way better.
Yeah, mine is at my knees, so it's like it's back by where my phone would be.
Oh yeah. Okay, let's start the show. Also, it's funny. There's a lot of times in earlier episodes where we would just hit go live, and I'd be like, "We'll check it later. I'm sure it started." Instead of like giving myself like the 30-second to a minute to like actually do the intro. Anyway, let's start the show. Let me open my timer so we can actually time it so this doesn't wind up being 3 hours.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay. In 3, 2, 1. This podcast is brought to you by aratemedia.org. Please head to Arate Media to see plenty of podcasts. See, this is what happens when we start late, Jordan. He fucks up the
Flawless.
intro.
Flawless intro.
Fuck up the intro.
It was perfectly good.
I know. Okay, let's do this again.
It was great.
3,
It was fantastic.
2, 1. This podcast is brought to you by aratemedia.org. Please go to aratemedia.org to check out plenty of podcasts from our great friends, as well as if you want to start your own podcast, they can offer you all sorts of resources to do so there. Please head to aratemedia.org. That's ARTE media.org. On with the show, Jordan.
On with the show.
aratemedia.org. Yeah, I fucked up the intro because apparently we're changing the name. It's a rumor I've heard that it's not the Arate Podcast Network anymore. It might be the Arate Podcast. What was it? Pantheon, the Arate Podcast Pantheon. So like I don't want to say Arate Podcast Network in case it's wrong. So that's why the intro is all sticky. Jake, for when Jake listens or watches this later. That's what anyway.
That's certainly the story we're gonna go with anyway.
That's certainly the story I'm going with. Welcome to the Spur of the Moment podcast, everybody. We didn't mess up the intro. It was flawless. What are you talking about? I'm Justin Spurr. I'm the host. I'm joined as always by my flawless podcast host. It's the incomparable Jordan, everybody. How are you doing?
Pretty incomparable.
How are you doing, Jordan?
You don't want to ask me that question. The last guy who asked me that question didn't want to ask me that question.
I was the last guy who asked you that question.
Right, and did you want to ask me that question? Did you want the answer to that question?
No, I can't.
Yeah, no, I didn't think you did.
I can't lie.
The last guy didn't either.
Pretty sure that was still me.
I mean, the point stands, man. The point stands. If you didn't want to, then the audience certainly would rather listen to us talk about media news.
That is true. That's true. This bit's gone on for too long. On today's show, apparently there's a sequel. Well, first we're gonna do news. That's I think if you've been hanging around long enough, you probably know that. And the news includes apparently there's a Sausage Party sequel coming. There's some Tron.
What?
There's some Tron news.
What?
I've got something here about Finding Nemo. We're going to talk about Mufasa. I sent Jordan a trailer for the new Star Wars show.
Which I watched.
And more. And then later, We've picked a woman. We've each picked a woman. We've taken a woman.
An actress.
By that I mean,
An actress.
by that I mean we picked an actress each.
Justin, you need to remember that stuff can be cut out of context, and we don't want that out there.
Don't take that out of context. We're each gonna talk about a particular actress's filmography. That's gonna be fun. That's coming later. But to start off with Jordan, apparently, Ronda Rousey is set to write, but not star in, a Netflix biopic, which like I'm kind of interested in, based on her more recent interview where she still claims that she's the greatest female fighter of all time, which like is provably false.
Is it,
because she got
isn't
knocked
she a
out
wrestler
twice.
now?
No, because the WWE also hates her.
Oh, last I had heard of her was she was a wrestler.
Yep, she got knocked out so hard she ran to the WWE, which then didn't give her the push that she wanted, and because she is a massive megalomaniac with an ego, and she still will not admit that she fucked up. She still will not admit that she fucked up and went in that fight arrogantly. It's incredible.
I mean, that's fair, but I will say it's brave of you to insult a woman who could beat the shit out of you.
That is true. That is true. She probably could. Anyway, I'm interested to see what her perspective on these events are. Like I'm interested in seeing a biopic from her perspective, because there's no way it's not gonna be like really narcissistic.
She's the victim.
She is absolutely the victim. She cannot take an ounce of response. It's everyone else's fault. It's everyone, even though she made the decisions, it's everyone else's fault.
Yep.
Apparently.
Yep.
So you know how there's gonna be that Big Bang Theory Young Sheldon Georgie and Mandy spinoff.
I had heard something of it.
Apparently it now has a title. It's going to be called Georgie and Mandy's First Marriage.
Okay. Okay. I don't really know what else to say about that.
You know what's funny?
I'm not like against it necessarily, but it's just to me it's weird.
My thing is
it's like 50 layers of Kevin Bacon, of like you're getting further and further away from like the Big Bang Theory,
right?
But it still takes place in the Big Bang Theory
especially
world.
Because it's supposedly it's gonna be a sitcom like in the style of Big Bang Theory, like a traditional like multi-camera sitcom.
That's random.
So it's like you're coming back around. It's like
that's
you were originally that. You went to being a single camera sitcom, completely different, separate from the original show you were based on. Now you're going back to that. That's weird. I almost would kind of like them to do like just keep continuing on with young Sheldon, with the actor who plays young Sheldon, till he becomes adult Sheldon, and just do it like it's like, oh, we're doing Big Bang Theory again, but it's in the style of young Sheldon, and completely recast all the characters.
That would be weird, but I could maybe see it.
Because apparently, and I don't know if we talked about this, but Jim Parsons and Mayim Bialik, they're coming back for the finale.
Yeah, I saw a TikTok where it was the dude who plays young Sheldon, and he's like, "Oh, I heard there's this app, or this filter on TikTok, I think it was, which shows what you look like when you're older." And he does the fake pressing a button on the screen thing, and he becomes Jim Parsons.
That's hilarious. So that's interesting. I wasn't sure if they had actually shot it yet. So it sounds like maybe they have shot it.
I'm guessing they have.
And it's from what I understand. See, I wasn't sure if it was like it was going to pull back and it was going to go back to like Big Bang Theory style, but it sort of sounds like they filmed it, because I saw an interview where Jim Parsons talked about it. They were like, "Oh, what does it feel like to go back? Is it weird?" And he said it wasn't. It felt like it would have the capacity to be weird, but it wasn't weird because it was shot in the style of young Sheldon. So he said it felt less weird. And so that makes me think. It makes me wonder if they are going to do what we said they should do. And what was the theory you came up with? Not you didn't come up with, but you said you had read it, where that this is all Sheldon writing a memoir.
Memoir or whatever. Yeah.
And I think that's what it's going to be. I think it's going to pull back, and it's going to be
so, because it explains a lot of the inconsistencies, especially because within the realm of the show, they have actually set up and shown that things that Sheldon thinks happened didn't actually happen the way that he thinks they did.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
there's a scene where in the original Big Bang Theory, Sheldon talks about how you know how he knocks 3 times.
yeah.
He talks about how he walked in on his dad with a different woman or whatever, and he caught him cheating, and he ever since he's knocked 3 times to get people time to get their pants on. Well, in Young Sheldon, you find out. I only know this because of TikTok because I've seen it. Um, the woman that Sheldon sees his dad with is his mom,
Yeah, but
and they're
she's
doing role play.
she's dressed up as I'd heard that. Yeah, and now on the show apparently he knocks 3 times.
And so my point being though, so that kind of lends credence to the idea that this could be Sheldon's story and things aren't always what Sheldon thinks they are.
Well, what's interesting to me is like, um, maybe I mean, or the idea that he's softening these people's bad, worst qualities in these stories to make them look better because he doesn't want the world to know that his dad sucked. I think you said that, and I was like, I also don't
Yeah.
mind that either, but I would it would be interesting if it was like a because at the end of Big Bang Theory, Sheldon seems to have hit his like emotional journey is kind of complete, and he's become self aware, and he's gone through an emotional growth. So yeah, it would be interesting if it was like you flash forward and he's no longer Sheldon. Like he's emotionally mature. He's like a normal person now, and he's kind of he's gone back and he's re-examined these moments, and yeah, maybe this is what actually happened. And now that he's like a much older man, he understands that it wasn't the way he originally thought it was.
See, I kind of that would be fun if it's like the future version we see of Sheldon is supposed to be like this is him a year or two after the end of Big Bang Theory or whatever, and like
Yeah.
he's now living with Amy has caused him to develop into an actual being. I either would like that, or if they did like one more season or whatever where you see Sheldon where it's like he's just before the Big Bang Theory, but like he's like older kind of thing, and you see whatever event caused him to regress into the child that he is at the beginning of Big Bang Theory, and he's gone through some traumatic event which caused him to become like he was, which is like a man child.
I mean, or here's an idea. Here's a wild idea. What if in the final episode, it's like you see he's about to he's about to go off to Caltech for the first time to go work there, and it's like it's the not the start of the Big Bang Theory, but like
Just before it.
just before. No, like basically just before he moves into the apartment. Basically, it ends with him moving into the apartment, and like we see him take the keys from like the landlord, and like it's just you just see this landlord, you don't actually see them or whatever, and then you see him hand him the keys, and he's like, "Thanks, Mister," and he looks up, and it's Sheldon, and Sheldon's master time travel.
I mean, that would be hilarious.
And
But
the whole reason
my my
the whole
my
reason why
thing
things
is,
are different is because he's gone back in time and he's changed things.
I mean, that would be amazing. Because otherwise, yeah, the version of Sheldon that you get in Young Sheldon, he's far too much of a person.
That's
He's
my
got he's.
that's my
I don't
thing.
believe that he turns into the Sheldon from the beginning of Big Bang Theory,
Yeah.
which is where I say, like, if you had one more season where like something like extraordinarily like really 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 traumatic happens to Sheldon that makes him regress and turns into the version that you see, I otherwise just don't really see it.
I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't mind the implication that like that's because they've introduced the other characters from the Big Bang Theory in the show, like they exist in and around him. So I also think it'd be kind of fun if like it went all the way up to the beginning of Big Bang Theory and like the final episode, and like yeah, it you see like recast versions of all the cast members or whatever, and it's like him rewriting it to continue the idea of making himself seem like he was less of a prick. That might also be kind of fun.
Or I could see it being a thing where it's like in that last episode or whatever, Sheldon has moved into the apartment and he's working at Caltech, and it's like because he's no longer around his family and it's just him living in the apartment on his own, he becomes more and more of a robot and removes further and further from those human emotions that make him so compelling in that show.
I mean,
And
yeah.
it's like it's the him being on his own and being away from his family, which turns him into the Sheldon from the
Well, I
beginning of
will
the
say
show.
the kid who plays him, he's doing a really good job of approximating Jim Parsons. It's kind of impressive, like their mannerisms. He's getting it. And to be fair, he's had like what is it, 7 years to like to work up to it. But yeah, he's
Yeah.
doing a pretty good job of approximating it. Like I'm kind of impressed. Where it's getting close. Like I can see where it's about to kind of match up. But I'm interested to see. I'm
Interesting.
interested to see how they. I am glad that they're gonna be there because we said that they should, and I'm glad that like yeah they needed to.
Yeah.
Again I like the idea that it's him writing his memoirs. And I kind
Yeah.
of hope that my hope is that it's like oh it's much later in his life and we get to see because there's a lot of cool moments in that show where you find out that he had kids and I'd like to see like
Yeah.
his kids and stuff. That'd be kind of neat. Um,
I would love for, and this would be very cheesy, but I would love for there to be like a How I Met Your Mother moment where it's like the two kids are sitting on the couch or whatever, and he's reading his memoir to them,
that'd be kind of fun.
and Mayim Bialik or whatever is sitting there like beside the kids listening to the story, and like maybe near the end or something like he's reading a line and she goes in and corrects him is like no that's not how that happened,
Yeah, well,
blah 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 blah. Like,
that happened in one of the episodes where yeah, he's like, yeah, I can't remember what she says. He says
it was
something,
something to do
and
with the naming of the kid,
yeah, it's
Leonard.
like that's not what happened.
We didn't name him after Leonard Nimoy. We named him after our friend.
Yeah, yeah. Um.
Um.
So okay. So Jordan, tell me, tell me, tell me. This doesn't
Okay.
sound at least a little interesting to you, okay? Paul Rudd,
Okay. Go on.
Nick,
You're right. He does sound very interesting,
Paul
but I'm
Rudd,
sure there's more to it.
Paul Rudd, Nick Jonas are making
Okay.
a musical comedy called Power Ballad.
All right.
Is that not enough
I
on
feel,
its own?
no. I feel like you need to give me a little bit more the meat and potatoes here.
Okay, so
You're really
apparently,
just skimming the surface. I like
apparently,
both of those. I like both of those people. Musicals are fun, but I feel like there's some substance here that I'm
so
missing.
apparently the story will follow a wedding singer played by Paul Rudd and a rock star played by Nick Jonas and the song that comes between them, and that's all we know so far. But I don't really care if Paul Rudd can sing or not. I'm kind of into this,
If anything, I think it's funnier if he can't sing.
right? But I mean, like my like willingness to
Like only though if he can't sing and like he really likes singing. And
right.
so like at every opportunity he'll go to start singing and the running gag is people keep going like no don't no stop like no
I
no
mean,
and then he's like
it'd be
oh
kind of funny if Nick Jonas just did all the musical numbers. But I'm hoping it's like a
or
musical.
conversely it would also be funny if Paul Rudd, every time he sings, it's not actually Paul Rudd who's singing, but one of the other Jonas brothers.
Oh, that would
Maybe
be good.
Nick.
That would be good. That would be so good. Yeah. So every time Paul
Maybe
Rudd goes to sing, it's
who's the
Joe
older
Jonas.
one?
Joe Jonas. I think it'd be funny if
Yeah,
it's like every time Paul goes
Joe
to sing,
Jonas.
it's Joe Jonas's voice comes out of his mouth. That would be so fucking funny. But to be fair, when I saw the Will Ferrell Ryan Reynolds musical, I was like, I was initially like, really? And I quite like
Skeptical.
that movie. I was like,
Yeah,
I don't see it. I don't see it. And then that movie again, I cannot stress this enough, gives Will Ferrell 3 solos. Which like
they're pretty good.
and they're pretty good. So like, hey, yeah, for all I know, Paul Rudd might actually he's the X factor here for me, not so much Nick Jonas.
Yeah, Nick Jonas we know can sing.
Yeah. But I mean that sounds fun. That sounds fun. Yeah, I would like to see some cameos from the other Jonas Brothers. That's just a weird combination of people for a musical. And I'm hoping it's a musical, not a movie with musical elements. Like a proper musical. We discussed last
Yeah,
week how much I enjoy musicals.
But I
Um,
think my idea is the thing that would take it to the next level.
if he every time he opened his mouth he was voiced by Joe Jonas, yeah, that'd be hilarious. Um, so yeah, looking forward to that. That comes out next year. So apparently they're making a Sausage Party sequel. It's called
No,
Sausage Party: Foodtopia. And it says they shared their
no.
first poster.
Why?
Sausage Party Foodtopia. The movie was just the appetizer. Served hot and ready July 11th on Amazon Prime. And apparently it's bringing back Seth Rogen. Like the bulk of the cast is coming back.
Okay.
That movie will forever be the movie where I was convinced that the ending didn't happen.
Oh, the ending happened.
Like I was
We're not
so
gonna we're not gonna talk about what the ending is, but the
I
ending
was
happened.
I was so drunk and so high when I watched that movie that I remember waking up the next morning like just like with like a hangover, being like, oh, George, did I dream? Did I
No,
dream the
no, you
ending of
didn't.
that movie?
It, you did not. It happened,
I
and we
I,
all have to live with it.
I don't think I've ever watched that movie sober. Like I'm pretty sure I've never watched that movie sober.
I don't think so.
Oh yeah, yeah, but yeah, that's. I have no idea what it could possibly be about, but it's coming. It's coming.
Yeah, I
Apparently this
don't
year.
really
Hopefully they paid
the
their
way that it
animators.
the way that it ended. I don't really know how you continue that story, but okay.
Doesn't it end with them going through a portal to another dimension?
I honestly don't remember. I was also very not in my right mind when I watched it.
Um,
I could look it up.
no, that's fine. That's fine. We don't have time. So there's a new Fairly Odd Parents show coming out. It's called The
It,
Fairly Odd Parents: A New Wish.
yeah, it looks bad. Really,
I
really ugly.
I don't hate the anime. I don't hate the art style. I don't mind it.
I do.
I
I
just am
do a
like,
lot. I
I
also just don't think that it's a show that needs to exist.
yeah. Apparently it's Wanda and Cosmo. The new show
Basically,
brings the
they
familiar
have a new kid.
characters. They move from Dimsdale to Dimadelphia. That's funny. Dimadelphia. That's funny. And they come out of retirement to help a young girl in need. But like, my question is like, so
That's a
wait,
girl. I thought it was a boy,
little girl.
a little
Um,
black boy.
nope, little girl.
Maybe we watch different things then.
Um, my thing is just like, A, they already tried to reboot this show with a live action show, and B, um, where's Timmy? So is this supposed to take place after those live action movies where Drake Bell was adult Timmy? Like,
I'm pretty sure there were there. I think they ended Fairly Odd Parents. Like there was an actual ending where he was an adult.
yeah, you're thinking of the Drake Bell movies. No, those aren't.
No, no, it was animated. The scenes I saw was
I
animated,
don't think so.
where you saw Timmy Turner, and he's talking. Oh yeah, you're right. She is a little girl. Huh, interesting. Um, it's Timmy Turner. He's an adult. He has two children, and he looks at a picture of the fish, and they're
Oh,
just normal fish.
that's the ending of Channel Chasers. That's
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that canonically is the ending.
it's technically the ending, but it's not the ending. It was supposed to be the ending. It was supposed to be the series finale, but they made like 4 more seasons of the show after that. But it is, you're right. You're technically right. It is technically supposed to was at one point supposed to be the ending of the show, but then they went on to do
So
like
my response would be it is still the ending of the show because he's an adult in it, and it therefore takes place after the other 3 seasons.
yeah, but the show went on to do things to like that would like contradict that ending. Like
All right. Well, as far as I'm concerned, that's the ending.
like they eventually there was a season where he has a talking
Plus,
dog, and then there's a season where he
plus,
has to share the fairies with a girl.
plus, regardless, Cosmo and Wanda are immortal fairies who can live forever. This could be 10,000 years after Timmy
Yeah,
Turner.
true. I'm like, without Timmy, what's the point? Like I just the Cosmo and Wanda were not interesting enough independently. Um, Interesting. He's not interesting enough. They're not interesting enough independently to like just pair him with another random kid. Like
I mean,
that's
I don't
why.
get it either.
That's why the show kept Timmy around for so long, was because they couldn't figure out a way to make it work without him. So I just don't get it. I just don't get it.
I don't get it.
I don't see this working
I
any more
also,
than that live action one.
I also just I don't like the animation. But anyway,
It's
I don't get it, but it's past my time anyway.
yeah,
So,
it's one of those things. I don't know. It's hard to tell sometimes if it's like, am I just too old for this, or is this genuinely bad? It's kind of hard to tell the difference.
or or both.
Um, so apparently in Finding Nemo, the opening scene of Finding Nemo, you know where the mom dies, that apparently wasn't originally the opening scene. Apparently it was changed in the last minute, and initially it was told via flashbacks throughout the movie,
Interesting.
which I thought was interesting.
Very interesting.
That's interesting. So you'll never guess who's going to be in Tron, Jordan. Tron, the bad one.
Is it you?
Yes, Jordan. I'm going to be in the next Tron movie.
Hey man, I think it's being filmed in Vancouver.
This is how I announced that. No, Jeff Bridges. They've added Jeff Bridges, so he will be back as
Oh,
Kevin
really?
Flynn. Yeah.
I thought he died.
No. Ooh.
Doesn't he absorb Clue at the end and then he blows up?
Oh yeah, you're right. He does. Yeah, he absorbs Clue and he gets left behind, and it is not expressly confirmed whether or not he survived or died. You do not see a body, and in movies, when you don't see a body, they're not technically dead.
Fair.
So that's interesting though, because I figured he wouldn't be connected to it like at all. So it's if he's being announced as being in it, because I figured at most archive footage and like
Yeah.
flashbacks. Like I wouldn't imagine he'd actually be in it. But
It certainly makes it feel more legitimate.
yeah. So that makes me
I
wonder.
might have to actually check that one out then.
I know, right? It makes me wonder if
If the others will be back.
yeah, if we might see Garrett Hedlund and Olivia Wilde show up. Apparently Cameron Monaghan is in it, which surprises me. Cameron Monaghan is Cal Kestis.
Really?
Yeah, he's apparently in it. He says that it will push effects. Tron Ares visual effects will push forward what can be done in film. Apparently, so it says the fans will be extremely excited about the visuals of the film, which he feels will quote push forward what films can do. Which I'm not going to say I don't believe him. Only because I mean the last one was not visually unimpressive. Like it was visually interesting. I will give it that.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
I understand.
So what prevents me from having faith in this is Jared Leto.
That you're a cynic?
Jared Leto and the fact that he makes bad movies. But who knows?
Fair.
So the Mufasa, Jordan, that movie looks all right. Look, here's what I'm going to say, okay? I've said it before, I'll say it again. I don't think that trailer really sold it all that well or made it look particularly interesting. But to me, it's funny because that first movie was a movie that was sold on its visuals. This movie is a movie that's desperately trying to sell itself on its visuals, and nobody cares. They're all like, yeah, it just kind of looks like the last one, which nobody liked. Like
So
there's people who are forgiving of it, but nobody liked the visuals. Not a soul.
So okay, here's what I'm gonna say. Here's my angry rant for the day. So just stay tuned for my TED talk. I don't like the visuals at all. I don't like the photorealistic animals who have no expression, emotion, or energy. The story has me a little bit irritated because kind of the point of the Lion King is that Mufasa is the king because he's the firstborn, which is why it's based on a famous Shakespearean play called Macbeth. Hamlet, thank you. Second one was Macbeth, I think.
Second one is Romeo and Juliet.
Whatever, who cares? Point being that the reason why Mufasa is king is because he's the firstborn son. Now, in this Mufasa story, they are going the route that him and Scar aren't actually related by blood at all. Mufasa is an orphan who is like made into the Lion King.
Wait, what?
Which means that that's what I read.
Really?
That's what I read. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't get. Okay, I didn't know that. But that makes sense because the trailer kind of implies, the trailer implies that he's the first king, which doesn't make any sense.
That he's like an orphan who becomes the king.
Yeah.
And him Scar aren't related, which logistically, from a lion pride standpoint, makes sense. Scar and Mufasa existing in the same pride and being related never made any sense because that's not how lions work.
No,
Uh,
but like it
and
makes
so
that line of like
the idea that Scar is a like another lion who is like wanting to take the pride and wanting to kill Mufasa because he wants that does make sense from a lion standpoint, but from the story of Lion King, no, they're brothers, they're related by blood, and I guess part of the reason why they don't want them to be related by blood is because it makes the whole Scar wanting to mate with Nala, who would be his niece, weird, and they clearly want to distance themselves from all of that.
it wouldn't. Nala wouldn't be his niece.
Justin, there was one male lion and a bunch of female lions.
Yeah, but then that would imply that Nala and
It's
Simba are
either it's
brother and
either
sister.
Nala, yeah, cousins, half siblings. There's an implication that it's always been weird that there's one male lion
But no, but
and
what's
and
my
it's
thing
so
is
in the original Lion King, if Scar and Mufasa are brothers, that means that at best there's two male lions, both of which are related to each other.
All right. My thing is that the movie implies that that Mufasa is the first king of Pride Rock, which doesn't make it. So wait, so were there no kings before Mufasa? That doesn't make any sense. It makes because they still have that line in the remake of the great kings of the past are up in the sky, which implies that there's a long monarchy that he's just a part of. So like it makes it not make sense. And like I didn't know that it was supposed to be that they were friends. That remake still
Not
implies that they're
friends.
huh
Not friends.
brothers.
They're not biological brothers, but like Simba or Mufasa.
Yeah, that doesn't make
As
any
I've
sense.
read, as I've read, Mufasa is essentially adopted by this family.
Okay, but then that doesn't make any sense. So then that would
That doesn't make sense as to why he would then become the king,
yeah, no. Then
and
at that point,
Scar,
then
the
it's
firstborn son, would be king.
yeah, you would have to find. I mean, but then that I guess that I
I'll see if I can find.
yeah. Hold on, I've got it here. Hold on. Oh yeah, Lin-Manuel Miranda is doing the music, which is hilarious. Here it is. Mufasa enlists Rafiki to relay the legend of Mufasa to young cub Kiara, the daughter of Simba and Nala. Blah blah blah. Told in flashbacks. The story introduces Mufasa as an orphan cub, lost and alone until he meets sympathetic lion named Taka, the heir to a royal bloodline. Interesting. Yeah, you're right. It says their bonds will be tested. They work together to evade a threatening and deadly foe. So this movie's gonna have to explain then, why that, yeah, no, yeah.
Why would Mufasa become king and not Scar?
I was initially into this, and now I'm not because this doesn't make any sense.
If anything, it should be reversed. Mufasa should be the prince that finds Scar and brings him in and tries to like rehabilitate him or make it whatever, and Scar covets the throne.
This doesn't make any sense because the original, the first one is too close to the original, and so now there's a shit ton of dialogue that they just did wholesale in the original Lion King that now doesn't make any sense. Like by you've changed the dynamic of Scar and Mufasa. Like there was a story there that was interesting enough when they were biologically related. Why did you change it so they're no longer biologically related? This now makes this story not make any sense, and it makes that Lion King, the 2019 one, worse in retrospect because now it doesn't make any fucking sense.
Yep.
Moving on.
Welcome to my angry rant.
That's fucking aggravating. That's aggravating.
So yeah, to summarize, I don't like the visuals.
Yeah, I'm not.
That off the bat makes me not like it. And now this plot is so stupid that I'm like, maybe I'll watch it on Disney Plus.
Yeah, I don't
for a
know. Oh,
pick.
I'm never. I
For,
will.
for, for a pick on this show
I will
where I
not.
have motivation to go and watch
I
it.
will not go. I won't. I won't do those Disney remakes in theaters anyway anymore. I'm not wasting my
No,
money. Um,
no, not unless it
and
looks
then
exceptionally good.
finally, really quickly, I didn't pay as much attention to it. I don't have a ton to say about it, but Star Wars May the 4th, because we don't do things thematically.
May the
But
May
May
the
the
fourth
4th
be
be
with
with
you.
you. And in honor of May the 4th be with you, they put out a new trailer for the Acolyte, and it still looks fine. I like the Sith. I
It
love his
looks fun.
helmet. My thing is, it
Oh,
looks
the
a,
helmet with looks like it has teeth
I
and
was
it
gonna
looks
say it
cool.
looks a little too much like they just took Kylo Ren's helmet and slapped teeth on it, but um,
Eh,
I,
I'm
I
okay
I
with
I
it.
like the fact that it's like a murder mystery of like who the
I
Sith is, and like
My headcanon is that Kylo Ren, because he was with the whole Knights of Ren stuff, he saw pictures of this helmet from 10,000 years ago and modeled his after it.
that would be rad. I just like the fact that it's like, and then there were none, but with Star Wars. Like that's kind of neat.
I mean, it's nice to not be in the Skywalker
It
saga.
looks different, and it looks like they're doing something different, and it doesn't look like Luke Skywalker or Anakin Skywalker or Obi-Wan Kenobi, or like, it doesn't look like any of those guys are gonna somehow show up in the end.
The only one who could maybe
Fingers crossed.
is Yoda.
Yeah, and you know what? I'll take it.
Yoda could be in it, and like you could have him be a young Yoda and have him act different, and I would be fine
I
with
want
it.
him to just talk like a normal person, and it turns out that the entire reason why he talks that way is because he has a brain tumor.
I just
Or he
him
had a
specifically.
stroke. He had a stroke.
I maintain that I want it to be that he goes up to fight against this Sith that's in this show, and this Sith has some dark Sith power that hasn't been seen in 10,000 years, which like screws with his brain and causes him to
His
talk like that
brain is just
every moment after.
scrambled. That would be so. That
That's
would be
that's that's
so
what I
funny.
want. That's what I want.
But that was the news, Jordan. I realized that we haven't been doing the news theme song for when we introduced the news. But Jordan, do the news theme song. I'm doing my Donald Trump. I'm doing my Donald Trump. He's milking two cows. He's milking two cows.
That's not what he's
That's not what he's
milking.
milking. So, Jordan, before we move into the book reports, I want to very quickly do a new segment. Introduce a new segment. I'm calling. Jordan, have you heard about what's happening on Velma?
Oh, I mean, I've heard some things,
Jordan,
but I thought we agreed. I thought we agreed never to speak of
no,
that
but Jordan,
travesty.
Jordan, Jordan. I heard about how the season ends, and it's kind of the most incredible thing I've ever heard. And
Okay, so here I'll tell you what I've heard, and then you can tell me what you've heard, and we'll see if it like
yeah,
coincides.
yeah, okay.
So I heard something about how Scrappy Doo murders
Yep.
Velma, and then Velma's ghost murders Scrappy.
I is absolutely what I heard. And what I can say is that is absolutely true. I've seen video of it. Scrappy Doo is there. There's a talking dog. He's like a jacked up Scrappy Doo. And I didn't see the bit where he kills Velma, but he's very much in the show. Which just is incredible. Like, I just out of context, Scrappy Doo kills Velma is kind of it's kind of up there with Scooby Doo as an eldritch horror. I kind of like that because it's at least taking a chance and it's fucking out there. Like, that is crazy. That is wild. That is a swing.
I
And
mean,
it's
yeah, but
stupid as shit.
to have Scrappy without having Scooby just doesn't really make any
And,
sense
and
to
it
me.
looks like he still talks. Like, that's my thing, is like, wait, so you wouldn't do Scooby, but yet you're okay with Scrappy? Why? Like, I almost
Uh,
need to watch this show just to understand. Like, I'm like that.
okay, you go ahead and do that, and I will inquire as to how bad it is after you
Okay,
watch it.
well, we'll do that. We'll come back here and we'll do a follow up to my new segment. Jordan, what's going on Velma? There's some stuff happening in Velma.
And we'll have the new segment, which is, hey Justin, is Velma actually as bad as it seems?
We'll find out. So stay tuned, folks. Stay tuned. Jordan, I watched Velma. It's probably coming eventually. It's a new segment. It's gonna happen after the news every week. We're gonna do a little bit where we talk about the show Velma.
And I ask you about how bad it
It's
is
true. It's true. It's coming. Coming soon. Coming soon. It's a new addition to the show.
because I won't watch it. I'm
But I
sorry.
just, I
I
just
can't.
like, it's just as soon as I read that, I'm like, it's one of those things where you read it and it's so absurd. You're like, it has to be fake. And when you find out it's not, you're like, I need to understand the context of this, because out of context, it sounds. Everyone was complaining about it. They're like, oh, Scrappy Doo comes in and he kills Velma, and it sounds so terrible. And I'm like, what? That sounds amazing. What are you people talking about? Like, do people not appreciate just absurdity? Like that's like if you're like, oh, I'm gonna do an adult R-rated version of Scooby Doo. I'm like, yeah, this is what I want. I want strange absurdity. I don't want it to be like that. To me, that's making fun of Scooby Doo in a way that's interesting and fun. Like, that actually sounds interesting to me. Like, at least they're doing
Uh,
something.
I maintain that they should have done the Eldritch Horror story.
Yes, yes, they should have, but this is a close second. Um,
That's fair.
with
I
that,
mean, hey, they could have combined it and made it so Scrappy was the Eldritch Horror.
that also would have been fun. Um, with that, it's time for
And
this.
yet you find out that the reason why the show is all wrong and everything is incorrect is because Scrappy has been jealous of his Uncle Scooby for years, and he finally managed to blot him out.
That'd be cool. That'd be fun. Or just like have it where he saw every version of Scrappy in the multiverse and he went insane. Um, um,
Anyways,
why is there a
sorry.
version where he's a massive Hulk monster? It's so confusing. Um, um,
Book
uh,
reports.
right, sponsors. This episode is sponsored by Trophy Smack. Jordan, let me ask you this question about. Let's say, Jordan, let's say that you made a real stinker of a Suicide Squad movie. And let's say that you wanted to tell a person that they did a real bad job in trophy form. How could you do that? Let's say you wanted to maybe send them a way to remember that you made a bad Suicide Squad movie.
Well, I'd go to trophysmack.com using our link in the description below, and I would buy from their losers section for, people that did not win and need to be reminded of the fact that the other person won
That they're
and
a
they
big
did not.
loser.
Hey, your words, not mine. Um, but they also have people that are winners like me. They have trophy toppers. They have rings. They have dope ass wrestling style belts. All that can be done with custom engraving.
And also, there's
Uh,
also sorts of fantasy sports trophies as well for those of you who have a fantasy sport league that you participate in and you want to let people know that you're winning big time in your fantasy football league, Jordan.
I mean, those who can't do make fantasy sports leagues and win dope ass trophies instead.
And those who can't win buy trophies from trophysmack.com using our link in the description. Jordan, we brought it all together in the end. We did it. It's full
Hash,
circle.
hashtag nailed it.
Hashtag nailed the ad. So yeah, trophysmack.com. Go to the link in our description below. On with the show, Jordan.
On with the show, Justin.
So today we've picked women. Today for the book reports we
No,
picked
we
women.
have selected actresses to speak about.
Yes,
Use
yes.
the correct terminology, or people will cut this out of context and ruin your life. And by people, I mean me.
It's true. I could get canceled. I wouldn't want to get canceled. But yes, today we've each selected an actress where we're gonna take a look at their filmography. In my case, characters they've played. And let's let's begin this with which actress did you select, Jordan? Who did you pick?
I selected Jennifer Aniston, who does a lot of Jennifer Aniston.
I picked Margot Robbie, who, as it turns out, has a surprisingly varied filmography. So, Jordan, as is the tradition around here, you shall go first. Let us begin with our rapid fire. I don't have a ton of rapid fire today.
I have three.
I put a lot of work into our musical episode last week, so my Margot Robbie. Also, it turns out I've seen a lot of Margot Robbie movies, and yeah, we had personal problems that prevented me from watching one more, but that's okay.
Well, sometimes things happen.
Sometimes things happen, but that's okay. Jordan, you go first. What's your first rapid fire?
My first rapid fire is a movie called We're the Millers, which is a fun movie that Jennifer Aniston is in, and she is hot.
That movie is so underrated, I think. Like, that's one of those movies that, like, every person who sees it is like, it's funny, but in a way that's, like, not lazy or like offensive. I hate saying that, but you know what I mean. Where it's like it's so clever. A lot of the dialogue is so clever.
I mean, it's got a number of funny jokes, and it's really cute and oddly heartwarming when you think about the fact that they're all, with the exception of the boy, kind of bad people.
Right?
Uh, but there's a lot of like funny, risque jokes, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
Um, uh, and It yeah, but and yet it's still kind of, to me, it's like it captures the heartwarming qualities of the Robin Williams's RV with all the dirty raunchiness of The Hangover.
It's funny because it's like in recent years I've really discovered like there's just certain actors for me, the comedic actors that sort of slide by in my appreciation of them. But man, I've discovered in the past like year or two, I love Jason Sudeikis. Like he's so funny in like an effortless, like you don't notice how funny he is until you think about it kind of way. Like he's got so many. I've seen so many sketches with him where I'm like, dude, he's good. Like he's
He's
really
witty.
good. He's so witty. Like I mean, I'm really good. And this is unrelated. We're doing picking actors, but I'm gonna do some side steps about some actors. But a really good Jason Sudeikis movie that more people need to watch is a movie called Colossal. Colossal. It's either Colossus or Colossal. It's him and Anne Hathaway, and he plays an absolute monster, and he's so good. But he's so funny. I mean, no regrets.
Oh, no regrets. Really?
Really?
Not even one?
Not even one. Not
Or
not one.
one of my favorite jokes from that movie is when Jennifer Aniston, like, you're getting like like $1 million, and I'm only getting 30,000, and the teenage girl is like, you're getting 30,000, I'm only getting 1,000, and then the boy is like, wait, you guys are getting
You guys are
paid?
getting paid. I mean, my personal. You're a very aggressive woman. You know what I'm
You're,
saying?
you're a handsome woman, you know what I'm saying?
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yes, I do know
But
what
yeah,
you're
this is
saying.
from that like run of.
Thank you for continuing to check in with me, but I do understand what you're
Yeah,
saying.
thank you for continuing to check in with me, though. I feel like you're gonna be talking about a few of them, but I think this is not the start of. This is definitely that like run of movies Jennifer Aniston did, like where she was like, I need to do R-rated comedies because people think I'm nice, and I need to do some movies where I say an F word, and like I think this was like one of the
Or
first times where she
or
did one where she did an F word.
or is a stripper and does a sexy
Yeah,
dance.
where she does a sexy dance. But
I mean, to
anyway,
be fair, kind of, but what I found is like, even in some of her older films, she kind of was just in that role of like love interest who does sexy things.
yeah, she did. There was a point after Friends where she went through a run where she was like, "I need to play against type," and we're I assume going to talk about one of those like, I have to not be Jennifer Aniston, and yeah, I don't want to give away the game, but I suspect we're going to be talking about that movie. Anyway, you have anything else to say about We're the Millers?
No, it's fun.
My first rapid fire is a movie called Bombshell, and it is Margot Robbie. It's what Margot. Problem with Margot Robbie, is she's in a lot of movies where she's like part of an ensemble, so she's not really like the lead actress, but she's like one of like 100 different famous people, and like they all get like 30 seconds. So like this is one of those where it's about Fox News and Megyn Kelly, and it takes place right 2016 during the presidential election where Donald Trump did the debate, and he said like she was really mean to me. She had blood coming out of her eyes, or maybe she had blood coming out of somewhere else. It takes place during that, and it's about the guy who was in charge of Fox, Roger Ailes, and it's basically like a Me Too kind of thing. It's about them taking him down, and the one on-air Fox News person sues him directly because she realizes if she sues Fox News that they'll just get taken out in arbitration. And Margot Robbie plays a intern who is sexually harassed by Roger Ailes. And it's like the one thing about Margot Robbie that I discovered is it's funny. You're like, oh, Jennifer Aniston kind of gets like lumped into like being she's just the girlfriend. Margot Robbie has she's just kind of Jennifer Aniston. Margot Robbie, and she's really good at like, what's the word I'm looking for? Melting into an accent. Like each of these characters I'm going to talk about is like decidedly different. Like she's doing an American accent in all these movies, but like this one, it's more of a Valley Girl accent. So it's like it's different. It's very
Or
interesting.
Brooklyn.
More Brooklyn.
Like in Wolf of Wall Street, I think she was Brooklyn.
Yeah. We're gonna get there. We're gonna talk about that. But yeah. More Jersey in that movie. But it's
Mm.
overall, it's very interesting. It's very interestingly shot. It's kind of similar to, in terms of its like really fast editing, really fast pace. It's very similar to, for you, Wolf of Wall Street. It's very similar to Wolf of Wall Street. It's very interesting. It's a very interesting movie. One of the more interesting characters in that movie is kind of a fictional one, played by oh shit, what's her name? Kate McKinnon, played by Kate McKinnon, who's like a lesbian, secret closeted lesbian liberal who's working at Fox News, and it's sort of it's interesting because this movie, I mean, it's made by liberal elites or whatever, but it sort of demonstrates that Fox News knows they're full of shit, like that, like they know what they are and they know the function that they serve, and that the people who work there don't believe the bullshit that they say. And it really makes the case that, like, and to me it kind of, there's that character, she's that character, and she kind of sort of like, what's the word, juggles the ethics of doing what she's doing, of being like, I don't like line up with any of these people ideologically speaking, but I'm pushing this right-wing nonsense. Do I bear some sort of responsibility in this? And I just thought that was kind of interesting. So yeah, so it's, if you're into sort of political, and it's also funny, there's some humor in there as well, and she's quite good in it, so it's quite good. But yeah, that was Bombshell.
Interesting.
It's on
So
Crave.
my next,
Totally worth checking out for you.
good to know. My next rapid fire is, I think, one you've done before. Just go with it.
Yes, I did do Just Go With It.
You did it from the Adam Sandler point of view, and I'm kind of doing it more from the Jennifer Aniston point of view.
Yeah.
It's cute. It's fun. Uh, um, Jennifer Aniston looks good in a bikini.
I make up a
What
fake
else?
family for that.
Oh,
That was a
anyway.
joke. That was a joke. I need you to understand, audience, that I am not misogynistic or sexist. I just make bad jokes.
That's fair. I appreciate the beauty of a beautiful woman that doesn't age.
I can't remember. I had a strong opinion about that movie. I don't remember what it is. They can go back and watch that episode to find out what it is.
It's fine. Jennifer Aniston is, I don't want to say the sidekick, but like, it really is Adam Sandler's movie. Jennifer Aniston plays a big part, but he's narrating it. It's from his point of view.
Yeah.
It's kind of really, it's his movie.
As I recall, they faced no consequences at the end of that movie for the big lie. Like the blonde, she never finds out that they lied to her.
No, I don't think she ever finds out. She kind of just goes on, like,
she just kind of leaves at the end of the movie.
Well, it's like as far as she's concerned, Adam Sandler's character and his ex-wife just get back together. So it's like as far as she's concerned, that's what happened. And so it's like, wow, it sucks, but what are you gonna do?
What are you gonna do?
So she goes off into the sunset. But
she's
Adam
less
Sandler,
of a character, more of a plot device in that movie.
Yeah. But it kind of illustrates an issue that I had with Jennifer Aniston movies, in such that she kind of just exists in these movies to be the girl.
Yeah, definitely.
She's the girl. Whether it's the wife, the mother, the girlfriend, the fiance.
Pretty much, yeah.
She kind of just exists to be the girl. She slides into that archetype and that character very well. And it's like, she just sort of feels like various shades of Rachel Green.
To be fair, she did like
Jennifer Aniston.
She did like a slew of shit romantic comedies, most of which I again surmise we're gonna probably be talking about today.
At least a few.
Anything else to say about Just Go With It?
No, That's really it. I did think of an additional rapid fire that I'm gonna do on top of my last one, so I actually have four.
Gotcha. I have two more ish.
Okay, so
Um,
same as me.
the my last. I have one I thought of, which I'm gonna mention very briefly, but I don't have anything really substantive to say about it. But
That's kind of me as
um,
well.
um, my last official one for rapid fire is Barbie. Um, I don't have a ton to say about Barbie that smarter people than me haven't already said, other than to say I actually like Barbie. I thought that movie was funny. I did think some of the I thought some of the satire was kind of heavy-handed. I do get that. Um, I thought that it's weird how nobody brings out how weirdly pro-corporate that movie is. Like
Mm.
that's very strange. I love the bit at the end where the movie stops, comes to a grinding halt, so Ryan Gosling can sing a little song about his feelings. That's my favorite scene of the movie.
That's fair.
The wrong song from that movie won the Oscar. I maintain that.
Um,
Um,
Overall, I enjoy the movie. I do think it's a little heavy-handed
a
on
little
certain
bit.
subjects, but overall, not bad at all. It's enjoyable
My
for what it
favorite
is.
my favorite part was I think I said this on I can't remember which podcast. I've been on so many podcasts recently. I want to say it was when we were on RNT Media together. Um, but
Hashtag famous.
my favorite part of that of the fervor surrounding that movie is uh when they were like, "Oh, we're gonna make a sequel," and Margot Robbie was like, "I don't really want to. I don't see a need. There's not really much else for us to do here. We did everything we wanted to in the first one. There's no point."
Oh,
And
that's okay. We'll do it without you.
and
Whoa,
whoa, whoa,
whoa,
whoa, whoa, whoa, whoa,
whoa!
whoa, 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 whoa. Let's not be so hasty here. Also, the only reason why Oppenheimer made as much money as it did was because of Barbie. There's no denying that, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I think you mean the Barbenheimer.
The Barbenheimer. It's funny how everyone keeps trying to make another Barbenheimer happen. Um,
No, that was a
a one-time
butter
thing.
in the frying pan, one time like lucky popcorn exploding thing.
Right, right. Um, but it's just funny how it's like everyone's trying to make toys happen again, and it's like, oh, we got Thousand Dolls movies or action figure movies or like that eventually will get made. I want them to
Yep.
make a Yu-Gi-Oh or no, Yu-Gi-Oh. I want them to make a an Uno movie and just make it like Yu-Gi-Oh. Like you know have you ever seen that YouTube video where it's Yugi gets
You
invited
be
to
playing, yeah, playing regular cards.
yeah Yugi gets invited to poker night.
Yeah, I've seen
I
that one.
want them to do that, but with Uno. But not have Yugi in it, obviously, but have it where it's just like this magic, like every time they play cards, it like summons giant like creatures. It'd be so funny. So
I play Uno Reverse.
it's the only way. It's the only way to do
And it
an
would have
Uno
to be
movie.
absurd, that's for
It's so, it
sure.
have to be so absurd. Um. So yeah, Barbie. That was it. Barbie. I saw Barbie. I rewatched Barbie. I enjoyed that movie.
So the very fast one that I'm gonna do before I do the last one is I watched Horrible Bosses, which the reason why I'm not gonna spend very long on it is because she's a tertiary character in it at best.
Yeah.
That being said, that was definitely an example of she clearly wanted to be known as something other than the loving girlfriend.
That's what I'm saying.
So
Yeah. Yeah. She did a
she
slew
went
of those where she
about as
tried to break
far
type.
she went about as far right as you can and became the nymphomaniac, dentist. But
By dentist, do you mean rapist?
yeah, potato, tomato.
Rape! It's a rape! It's a rape! That's a rape!
She did rape. It's a rape. But you raped me.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, she did.
it's okay. You weren't even hard. It doesn't matter. That was a rape. You're right. Yeah, no, it's a funny movie. I genuinely do enjoy that movie. I like a good Jason Bateman movie. I think they're all funny, and I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly, the one guy in it was also in We're the Millers.
Yeah, Jason Sudeikis is also in it. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Um, So that's a connective thread that I didn't plan, but there it is.
Yeah.
Both him and Jennifer Aniston were in those two
Yeah,
movies.
Jason Bateman and Charlie Day. They have like a great chemistry. Uh,
Absolutely.
I mean, a lot of my there's a lot of really one of my favorite lines is the second one where he's like it's kidnapping. And it says it's kidnapping. Oh, with one more P it is, but right now it's kidnapping. It's just some of the lines are just so good. They're
Yeah,
just so great. But yeah, that one's fun. That one's funny. Or is
that was fun.
you walk into a bar, you see a black guy, you automatically assume he's a criminal.
There's a lot of funny lines in it, a lot of funny comedic moments. Jennifer Aniston is fun in it, but she obviously isn't like one of the main characters.
Yeah.
Which is why it's only a rapid fire.
Yep.
But that's all I got to say about that one.
My final rapid fire is something I didn't really watch. I only kind of watched a couple clips from it, but I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the fact that Margot Robbie's career started in soaps. She was on a soap opera from Australia called Neighbours. And I've watched a couple clips from it, and it's pretty much exactly the kind of show you think it is. And it's quite funny. You watch it, and you're like, yeah, I understand why she went on to become the megastar she did, because it's like she's doing real acting and all the other actors are doing soap opera acting, if that makes any sense.
Okay, okay, I think
Like,
I understand.
yeah, where it's like, yeah, it's like she's too good for this show, which is why she never really
Yeah,
went on to become super famous. But I'm pretty sure, like, it's like it's one of those shows where, like, if you're Australian, it's kind of like how you know how most comedians from Canada were on SCTV at one point.
yeah.
It's kind of a similar thing where if you're from Australia and a big actor, you were probably on it at some point. So I'm pretty sure Chris Hemsworth was also on. I think it's Chris Hemsworth. Now I'm gonna Google it after this, but I'm pretty sure. You know what? Screw it. While I vamp, I want to see. I'm pretty sure Chris Hemsworth is also on it. But yeah, a bunch of
Uh,
famous Australian people were all on it, and it looks. It's not my kind of show, but apparently it's quite well known. I listen to an Australian podcast, and they make fun of it constantly.
for the audience, what's it called?
Neighbors.
Neighbors. Interesting. So, audience, go look it up. Educate yourself. Learn.
Sorry,
Grow.
not Chris
It's better.
Hemsworth. It was Liam Hemsworth. Uh,
Same
Liam
thing.
Liam Hemsworth was on Neighbors, yeah. But there's another bunch of famous people.
Same thing. All the Hemsworth are
They're
interchangeable.
all no, except for one, the ugly one. There is an ugly Hemsworth.
It, oh, okay.
Yeah,
I'm not going to speak as to who it is.
yeah, because
It could be Chris.
you don't. No, it's not Chris. It's not Chris. There's a
No,
third
no,
one.
no, Justin. No, Justin. It could be Chris.
Pretty sure there's four
We
Hemsworth
don't.
brothers in
We
total.
don't. We don't know all of them. They could all, for all we know, all of them could be very attractive, and by their definition, Chris could be the ugly one.
That is a fair point. You make a valid point. But what is your final rapid fire, Jordan?
I mean, it's Jennifer Aniston. We all knew that in some capacity, I had to talk about
You
Friends.
gotta talk about Friends,
There's a lot of it. I didn't watch it all. Who has the time? There's like 10 seasons. It
right?
wasn't going to get done in a week. Even if I spent every day, all day watching it, I don't think I could do that in a week.
In a week I
Um,
could maybe get through 2 seasons. 'Cause they're
yeah,
long. They're
yeah.
like 20 episodes a pop. So it's
20
not
something
like
episodes, and they're like 20 minutes a pop. It would take a lot. A
it's
lot.
surprisingly. I mean, I can't remember the last time I did a Friends rewatch, but I've hit the point where I've done so many Friends rewatches. I don't know. I never end up finishing it. But I remember the last one I did. I
I
got
have
through
to
it
do it in
fast.
stages.
I was
I have to
surprised.
do it in I have to do it in stages where I break it up because it starts to get repetitive.
Yeah. Friends is less
Um,
bad. It's less bad for that. Their episodes are varied enough that it doesn't become quite as repetitive as
yeah,
other
but
sitcoms do.
now Now, to get to the point, though, I will say in that show, Jennifer Aniston, from start to finish, I've seen it enough times that I feel like I can comfortably say this. Her character is a very different character in the beginning of the show than she is at the end, and
Oh
there is
yeah.
absolutely a progression of like maturity with the character, which comes down to acting skill,
Right.
obviously. Um, and there's a reason why, like at the end of the show, they were making millions per episode.
Yep.
Um,
Also, Ross and
she's
Rachel should not have ended up together. It bothers
Oh,
me.
let's not
It
even
bothers me to this
let's
day.
let's let's not even open that
They're
can of
a
worms.
bad couple.
You're gonna upset someone, Justin,
They're a
and you just
bad
don't need
couple,
that kind of.
and they should not be together. Ross was a bad boyfriend. Everyone
Rush
agrees.
was psychotic. There's been so many cuts I've seen on like whether it's on TikTok or YouTube of people removing like the laugh track and just having him be a person.
Yeah, I've
And
seen those.
he's insane. One of the funniest ones that I saw the other day was Ross if he was a schizophrenic, and it's him opening the door and like it's the scene where Joey and Rachel have started like trying to date each other, and he keeps going like I'm fine, I'm fine. You know if I wasn't fine, but the people have green screened and cut out all the other characters, so it's just Ross talking to himself, reacting to that scene and doing all that, and there's no one else there, and it's just he's schizophrenic.
That's
It's so
funny.
funny.
Yeah, man. I saw.
Um,
I recently rewatched the bit, and this is Rachel related. So, gonna
yeah, there's a lot of stuff we could talk about all the characters, but let's try to keep it
keep it
focused on
to
Rachel.
Rachel and Ross. But I recently rewatched the entire lead up to him, um, to them breaking up. Where he's crazy jealous of the and it's funny because the show wants you to be on Ross's side, but when you watch that, I don't know, maybe it's because I'm like in my 30s now and like he's a psychopath. He's
He's the over
psychotic.
he's an overprotective, jealous boyfriend
Not
who doesn't
overprotective,
who has no
possessive.
who has
Possessive.
sorry, thank you, possessive boyfriend who has no concept of personal space or respecting your spouse or partner.
Yeah,
He's absolutely a bad boyfriend. He's a bad person too. He's crazy, man.
right?
But to be fair, and I'm just generally going to touch on this. I argue all of the quote unquote friends are bad friends.
I mean, yeah.
Um,
Yeah, they are.
that's a whole other debate, and there's a whole bunch of things that like we could do a whole rewatch show podcast just for this show.
Right?
Uh, so we're not going to deep dive into this too
The-
much,
the-
but to cold notes wrap this up in a nice tidy little bow. Um, no, Rachel should have gone to Paris.
right? Rachel should have gone to Paris and taken the kid with her.
Yeah.
Um,
And if anything, if they wanted to paint Ross in a different light from the way that he is like earlier in the show, then what they should have done is they should have had him be the bigger person and move to Paris with Rachel if he wanted to be with her.
Right.
Not grease this and have it where the girl has to change so that the man can have his happy life.
right. The only time I ever sided with Ross, okay, the one time was when his boss like ate his sandwich out of the fridge and didn't bother to fucking finish it. No, who does that? Who does that?
Oh, yeah.
Who sees someone else's lunch in the work fridge and then just eats it? Who does that? Like,
Yeah, no, that's not okay. The only other one that I side with Ross on because it genuinely bothers me is in the early first season when you find out that his ex-wife, who's a lesbian, is having his baby, and like they are very dominating in it all, and like, no, fuck you, Susan, you should have absolutely no input on the child's name. You contributed nothing, and in fact were infidelious with his wife,
yeah,
and were like, no, I'm sorry, Ross and the mother should have final say on the name.
right. The other like it reminds me of that bit from. Have you ever seen? I don't. Did you watch Drake and Josh like at all? I can never remember if that was one you watched.
I think a little bit, but
You know
not very
who? Have
much.
you ever seen that clip where Josh eats Crazy Steve's enchilada out of the fridge? You ate
I think
my
so.
enchilada.
Yeah, I think I know
Who just
what
eats
you're
a
talking about.
random piece of food out of the? I mean, not cool, man. Not cool.
No, did you bring that?
Right?
No, I know you know that you didn't. So no, you should not be eating that, especially if it has a person's name on it.
Right? Like, what's wrong with you? Like, what's wrong with
No,
you?
that's not okay.
Not okay.
No,
Not
bad,
okay. Do you have any
bad.
further things you would like to say about the show Friends and
I mean,
Jennifer
I have a
Aniston?
lot of things that I could say about Friends. Not all of them have to do with Jennifer Aniston, though, and that's where I say that could be its own podcast.
That's true. It's true. We could spin it off. We could do a Friends rewatch podcast. Would people watch a Friends rewatch podcast? The only way I would do a Friends rewatch podcast is when we inevitably launch the Spur of the Moment Patreon, which is something I'm hoping to eventually do. And maybe we make some money. Maybe that'll be a bonus podcast that people can pay for. If you want us to watch Friends, pay us. And we will do that. But
And I'll do a lot of things.
you have to pay me.
Just saying.
Just saying. But that's rapid fire, I guess, then.
Yeah.
That's
Unless you have something else. Unless you have something else that you want to say to wrap this up.
No, I got nothing. The bulk of mine to this week is gonna be we're gonna just as a sneak preview, we're gonna spend a great deal of time talking about Harley Quinn. So I got 3 movies I gotta get through, which is why there's less rapid fire. I had to watch 3 Harley Quinn movies in a row, which was an experience. But let's move on to main book reports then, Jordan. It's main book report time. We need interstitial music for this section.
Da 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 da.
We need to hire. Look, we recently, Jordan. Before we move into main book reports, we're gonna get into Hawking ship for the network later. But Jordan, there's a new podcast on the network, and they're a music podcast. So maybe one of those people on the music podcast. I don't know. Maybe there's a discussion to be had about making some music.
I give you 10 Canadian dollars, a crisp 10 Canadian dollars. Can you make us some music?
We will give you a crisp 10 Canadian $10 bill. You know what? Between us, we will give you a crisp Canadian $20 bill if you can make us some music.
I think we can see our way to making that happen.
I think we could see our way to giving you a crisp $20 bill.
Which I will note is worth a lot more than the American dollar bill. So you would actually be up.
Is it? Is our money better? Is our dollar doing better right now?
I have no idea. I think so.
Was that a lie? Did you just lie to our American friends?
It was me trying to make us sound better than we are. I actually genuinely don't know. I haven't checked the exchange rate.
What's funny is like it's hilarious to me how like. I mean, he'll probably see this eventually. It's crazy how Jake just kind of believes us whenever we say something about Canada.
Canadian to American.
It's kind of funny. We never tell him anything that's not true, but I kind of feel like we could probably tell him stuff that's not true, and he'd believe us.
So 1 Canadian dollar is worth 0.73070 US dollars.
Sorry.
5 Canadian dollars is worth 3.65350 US dollars. So yeah, ours is worth like $2 more.
Wow, man, the American dollar is doing shit right now.
So if you got a crisp 20 Canadian dollar from us to make music, you would actually be getting $14 American. So wait, maybe theirs is worse then, right?
No, ours is worse.
Ours is worse?
Because you said if you take
20
is 14.
20 is more than 14 though.
Right. So it takes 20.
Do I not know how
it's just become a
works?
podcast where we discuss exchange rates? I'm pretty sure. So it's $20 will get you $14 American. So if you came here, you would need more American money. No, so that means the American dollar is worse because if you came here, you would need more American money to get Canadian money.
To buy the same thing from Canada.
Yeah. So then
you would need 26 wait. Yeah, 20 something Canadian to get 20 my brain hurts. Currency converter.
Welcome back to the Spur of the Moment podcast, everyone, where we're discussing exchange rates between American and Canadian currency.
For some reason.
For an extremely narrow part of our audience. For the 3 people who we know watch our show.
Yeah, so 100 Canadian.
Really embarrassing ourselves.
I think so.
So anyway, crisp $20 bill is yours. If you make us a theme song.
Crisp
and
Crisp 20
and
Canadian.
interstitial music to separate all our segments.
And it has
Crisp,
maple leaves on it, so you
crisp,
know it's cool.
and it allegedly smells like maple syrup. I'm told.
I won't confirm or deny that, and you will get the pleasure of
You
figuring
will
it
have
out.
the pleasure of finding out whether or not that's true. I genuinely don't know if it is or not. I've never smelt my money because that feels weird.
Smells like
Smells
money.
like cocaine. Fun fact: did you know that there's like a certain percentage chance that somebody's done cocaine off of a dollar bill that you own?
This feels like a good time to stop this line of talking and move on to the
This
picks.
feels like a good time to talk about the movie Wolf of Wall Street, which is the movie I'm going to be talking about later. So what's your okay? Let's do the main book reports. What is your first main Jennifer Aniston movie that we're going to talk about in detail today?
The Bounty Hunter.
Oh, The Bounty Hunter.
I
Again,
I
that's
watched.
part of the slew of shitty romantic comedies Jennifer Aniston did in the 2000s.
So, Gerard Butler is a bounty hunter. His ex-wife skipped on bail. He has to go get her. Other things happen. They end up realizing they still love each other, even though they're terrible together. I don't personally feel any romantic like connection between them at all, or attraction or anything. Um, I don't get it.
So what you're saying is
But
Jennifer Aniston and Gerard Butler have no chemistry?
I don't think they do. Maybe someone else who has watched this movie would disagree with me. I think that she has far more romantic chemistry with, for example, Jim Carrey in Bruce Almighty than I think she has with him. I mean, she sells the ex-wife thing very well.
Is it
They don't like each other. They don't get along, and I believe that.
is it a performance issue or is it a writing direction issue?
Yes. Um, I
Because
don't know. I would be okay. I don't know how to say
I have a
this.
similar
Um,
criticism about a movie I'm going to be talking about.
I
But for me, it's a
I
performance
just
thing.
I think that it's a performance thing with Gerard Butler.
So you don't think she's the problem. That's interesting because you're not.
I
I've heard
don't
that criticism of him before. He doesn't have romantic chemistry with like anybody.
I don't think that she's the problem, and I only say that because most of the movies that I watched with her have her in a relationship with someone by the end of the movie.
Yeah.
Um, and in all of those movies, I feel the romantic chemistry.
So
So
is it a case of
that to
like
me, that to me is kind of proof that it's not necessarily her, but it might be. It might not necessarily be all him. It could be just them together. It doesn't work. I don't know,
so? But is
but
it a case of like you don't believe that how you don't understand how they got together in the first place, or just like you don't understand why they got back together? Because that's obviously the plot of this.
I don't understand how they got back together. I understand how they got together in the first place because over the course of the movie, they kind of make it clear that they were young and she thinks it was a mistake in the first place. She
Gotcha.
thinks they were too young to have gotten married and they did it in like a world like they had known each other. Now I'm taxing my memory. I'm going to actually just look at but they weren't together very long before they got married.
Interesting. Well, so like, just remind me. This is very generally, um, sorry, I just remember I want to pull something. Very generally, this is like a road trip movie, right? Where it's like he goes
Yeah.
after her, and then like, um, um, what am I looking
He goes to her place to try and to bring her
and
back because she skipped bail
and
because
then
she was a reporter and she was looking into this other dude who is a criminal and stuff and there's crimes.
okay, there we go. Sorry, I just remembered I wanted to pull something. But it's a thing of like so they're trying to get to he's trying to get her back and like they wind up in various road trip style movie shenanigans. That's the kind of the basic idea here.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah. So yeah,
Basically.
basically yeah.
Like you go from set location to set location and different things happen.
Because I mean I'm loving it. I remember not disliking. I've seen this movie and I remember not disliking it. But to be fair, this feels.
I like I like the movie. I think the movie is fun and I enjoy it. I
I
just don't The fact that at the end it's sort of implied that they're gonna get back together and try again, I just don't see it.
It reminds me of
He's over the course of the movie, he's kind of a dick. And the moments where they're supposed to be like, oh, like they have this connection, I just don't buy. I don't see it between them. I don't feel the love.
it's funny because this movie reminds me of another Gerard, and that's when you say, "Oh, I think Gerard Butler's the problem," but also it reminds me of I don't know if you remember The Ugly Truth.
I don't recognize that by name.
That's the one where it's him and Katherine Heigl, and Katherine Heigl is like she has a television show of some sort, and he gets hired on as the it's like a dating show, and he gets hired on as like a rival show, and he's got like it's like a dirty male oriented show where it's like sex sells and all sorts of stuff. We've seen it. We saw it. It was during that run where I worked at the movie theater and we saw like everything. But it's him and Katherine Heigl, tall blonde woman. And it's the same thing where it's like they don't have chemistry either, and it's like you don't believe that they're gonna get together by the end, and it's weird that they do. And so this reminds me of that. So it's like yeah, it definitely gives me the vibe that he's the problem, not her.
I just don't think that he's right for this kind of role. Like he was good in Law Abiding Citizen, for example. So it's like I'm not saying that Gerard Butler is a bad actor. I just don't think he's a good romantic actor.
I don't think he does good because I quite liked him in I mean obviously everyone brings up 300.
300, yeah.
I quite like Gamer. I quite like that one as well.
He's good in a few things that I remember enjoying. So that's why I
Yeah.
say I don't think that he himself is a bad actor. I just don't think he's a good romantic actor.
Yeah, I mean that's fair.
Or like for example, like I believe the chemistry in 300
Yeah.
when he's a Spartan warrior who is not supposed to be in touch with his emotions. I believe the romance between him and the queen.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
that I buy. I think Gerard Butler just puts out an air, and it kind of works in this case because he's supposed to be an ex-husband.
Yeah.
But he kind of puts out this air of like a stunted romance, like he's not in touch with his feelings.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Oh, yeah. So I mean, you're suggesting that he hasn't emotionally evolved enough for it to be believable that they would get back together.
Yeah, because like in the beginning of the movie, like he's a dick, man.
Yeah.
Like he takes this he takes this out of a gleeful like I get to screw over my ex-wife and bring her in and take her to jail. Like there's no love there at the start.
And
For them to all of a sudden rediscover their love
Hmm.
over the course of like an hour something movie just doesn't feel. I know it's supposed to be multiple days, but no, I don't buy it. I don't
think
see it.
these movies tend to be more interesting when they don't get back together, when it doesn't have a Hollywood ending.
Which leads to my other one, which we'll talk about after. Do you want to do your first pick?
Oh, yeah, sure, why not? Yeah, sure, why not? I think I usually
bounce back and forth. Give my
Yeah.
sultry, sexy voice a chance to rest.
I do like the bouncing back and forth. Up until I'll do it for the first one, but for my second one, I want to do all three together. So it's gonna be
That's
a
fair.
bit longer. So you're gonna have to stick with me through that. But for my first one, yeah, my first one I did The Wolf of Wall Street, which is not so much Margot Robbie's movie. She's a character in it, and she plays a very important role in that movie. But that movie very much is Leo's movie. And just to get it out of the way, I stand by it. I think he should have won the Oscar for that. I don't think he should have won it for The Revenant. I don't think The Revenant is a better movie. I think before his physical comedy in the sequence where he's driving the car is so fucking good. Like he's so good in that movie. He just is insanity. But we're not here to talk about Leo. We're here to talk about Margot Robbie. And the thing I love about her in that movie is I love how the perception of her changes throughout the course of that movie. Like at first, she's just kind of an object. She's just kind of an object for him to possess. He just wants to possess her. He just wants to own her. Yeah, literally. Sponsored by Trophy Smack. No, he sees her as a trophy, as something he can obtain. And she plays the part of like a doll, basically. Kind of ironic. She went on to play Barbie,
Would you
but
say a Barbie doll?
and I just love how like she's so like everyone in that movie is so enamored by him, is so taken in by him, and she sort of starts to realize once you get to know him, you realize like it's just a facade. He's just a piece of shit,
Mhm.
and she's so thoroughly convincing as that's just like Jersey trash, um,
Right.
that that I had no idea she was Australian. Um, for
No,
years,
yeah, for
didn't have a
the
friggin'
longest
clue.
time I didn't either.
Blew my mind because she's so good. And we'll talk about her at the end
Plus,
when I
she's hot.
summarize. And plus, she's good looking, and she's the same age as me, which somehow makes her more hot. I don't know. Um, but she's married. She's married in a relationship. So, yeah, yeah. She's got a husband.
Good for her.
Good for her.
Good
She
for her.
deserves it. She's very talented. But no, she's very good in this. Um, her relationship to Jordan Belfort is very tragic, and it's very upsetting. Um, and yeah, it's like she easily could have just been known as just a person who is just hot, and she's had varied and different. Like we're gonna talk about Harley Quinn, but this is just so different from that. Uh, and a big thing I want to sort of mention about the Wolf of Wall Street that kind of blew my mind was when people were like, I've seen videos where people think that Jordan Belfort is someone that you should aspire to be, and it's
Didn't he
like,
go to jail?
he went to jail, but it's like, or
Because
that
I always think that I should aspire to be people that went to
well,
jail.
it's like people are like, oh yeah, his life is somehow aspirational, and it's like the whole point of this movie is that his lifestyle was not sustainable. Like he's not a good person, and that's kind of the whole point to this. Is like he became so enraptured and so wrapped up in his own lifestyle that even it wasn't manageable. He couldn't keep going on, and it eventually came crashing down. And that's the whole point of that. He didn't keep he didn't keep a wife. He didn't keep all the money, and he didn't keep all of that. He couldn't keep doing drugs endlessly, and he couldn't like he was like operating at 1,000 miles per minute, and he couldn't do that forever. And that's the whole point of that,
It caught up with them. Yeah.
right? But it's easily my favorite Scorsese film. It's like the one where I love that and Goodfellas, where you just take a bad guy, and you just demonstrate bad people doing bad things unapologetically. And again, this is not about the male actors. It's supposed to be about Margot Robbie, but I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Jonah Hill. He's got so many great lines in that movie, like where he eats the goldfish, or early on when he's like, "Come smoke crack with me, bro." It's just oh, it's so funny. Or at the end, he's talking about the non-alcoholic beer. Every time I see a non-alcoholic beer in a store, I just picture Jonah Hill being like, but it gets you fucked up, right, bro? No, it doesn't. It doesn't get you. That's kind of that's the whole point of it. You drink it, you drink a bunch of it, you get fucked up, right? No, that's kind of the whole thing. They're non-alcoholic, Donnie. Yeah, I don't get it. Like every time, that's all I think about.
I
But
mean, it
no,
makes me think when I see non-alcoholic beer, it makes me think of from that Jesse Eisenberg movie, 30 Minutes or Less, when it's the two kids or whatever trying to get the pizza driver to pick up beer for them, and he's like, "You guys like O'Doul's, right?" And I'm like, "Ha ha ha, that's non-alcoholic beer."
oh, that's fucking hilarious. I didn't get that. That's so funny. How the hell do you know what that? Wait. Sorry. Time out. Pause for just a second. How the fuck do you know what on non-alcoholic beer is? Okay, for those who don't know at home, not only does Jordan not drink regular beer, why on earth he doesn't even drink non-alcoholic beer? So why on earth would you know that O'Doul's is the name of a non-alcoholic beer?
I think okay, I'm gonna be honest. I don't know why I know that. I just know that I do. But I think I remember seeing it when we went one of the many times when we went to the liquor store to pick up other stuff.
Okay, because I'm like, I didn't know that. That's funny.
Uh,
Maybe that's
that's
something a
just.
parent told us.
It might have been something that Dad mentioned or something. My
Yeah,
dad mentioned,
yeah,
um, all
maybe.
I know is that I all I know is that I do know that's true. Like if you were to look it up, I
That's
know I
that's
know
so fucking
because
funny.
that's the joke there is that like if you like
I just thought the joke
non-alcoholic
was he was
and
stealing their
and
money.
they they don't know well the joke is that they have no idea what they're talking about.
That's so
They have no
funny.
idea what the difference is.
That's so fucking funny. That's hilarious. That's
Might have
funny.
been one of those like film channels or something that I watch
That's pretty
that
funny.
had that information. I don't remember
But
how I
but
know it. I just
the
know that that's true.
to wrap up my thoughts of Wolf of Wall Street. Margot Robbie, yeah, and again, yeah, her ability to do accents and these characters are like yeah, man, from this actor's this like earnest conservative woman intern in Bombshell to Naomi, the queen of no, the Duchess, the Duchess of the Duchess of Bay Ridge. They're two completely different characters, and it's just so interesting to contrast to you with Jennifer Aniston, where you're like, she's largely the same character, movie
I
to
mean,
movie.
I think she is. I think she is in the movies that I've
I
seen.
would agree.
Not
I
that
would
that's a
agree with
bad
that.
thing,
No, 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 it's
but
not. You like Jennifer Aniston, that's fine. But
yeah.
I'm just saying how interesting you're like, oh, and I thought I was gonna have a similar experience with Margot Robbie, where I was gonna be like, oh no, she's just kind of Margot Robbie, but no, she really does blend to Barbie. Like Barbie is a completely different version of. Also, to go back to Barbie real quick, did you know that? And I learned this recently. That you know how Margot Robbie is stereotypical Barbie. Um, Ryan
Yeah.
Gosling, the Ken who's into her, is not stereotypical Ken. He's Beach Ken, which is why his
Oh.
job is beach. So apparently, I
Interesting.
can't remember who plays him. Apparently, stereotypical Ken is in the movie, but it's a different actor.
Huh.
Yeah, I know. I learned
Neat.
that. I was like, oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that. Anyways, yeah, but that was Wolf of Wall Street. What is your second pick, sir?
So my second pick is The Breakup. So it's funny that you say it's nice when Hollywood has these movies where they don't end up together at the
Yeah,
end because that's what this is.
yeah,
This is a Vince Vaughn film, um, and he's a dick.
yeah, yeah. Absolutely is.
Um,
Yeah, I'm told.
uh,
Not having any personal experience with this myself, but I'm told it's very realistic.
I mean, with for a breakup,
Yeah, I've heard people
yeah,
say that it is a shockingly realistic representation of that kind of breakup.
it's definitely one where it's like they if and this is kind of the point that the movie makes like by the end of it where it's like if they both had just communicated a little bit better
Yeah,
they would have been fine, they would have worked
yeah,
out
but there's a lot of relationships that are
um
like that you realize
because
in retrospect.
yeah, well because like both sides of it as much as I say he was being a dick, what he kind of wanted, that the main thing that he wanted is not unfair. He wanted to be able to come home and relax without having to just have someone on him all the time about doing all these other
But what she
extracurricular
was asking
things.
him to do is not
But
unreasonable.
she wasn't. Yeah, exactly. So it's like that's where I say I get both sides. But then it just devolves into him being petty, her trying to make him jealous and step up and be the person that she wants him to be, which ultimately is why no relationship in that regard is going to
Yeah.
succeed. Because if you have to trick the person into being what you want them to be, I mean, then really you don't want to be with them.
See, I don't think I've ever. It's been a minute, but it was like one of those style of relationships where they were together for like ever kind of thing.
Yeah, that for a
Yeah,
while.
yeah, they've been together for a while, right? And remind me, are they broken up already at the beginning, or are they still together?
No, they're still together, and then they throughout like they break up in the movie.
Okay, because yeah, I mean, I do know like it's funny. It's one of those movies where it feels like it's an unrealistic thing where it's like a couple breaks up and they continue to live together. But no, that happens a lot where couples will break up and they'll just be roommates for
They
a while because they have nowhere else to go.
they continue to live together. Well, in this, it's they continue to be together because they bought this condominium together, and so they're
Yeah,
both partial owners,
I know that he
and neither one of they're
refuses to
both
move
like,
out. Yeah,
well, they're both no, both of them are like, no, I'm not moving out. Why the hell would I move out? I paid for half of this place. I'm no,
yeah,
no, you can move out. And so that's why they continue to live together until it kind of comes to a head. And one of their friends, who funny enough is Jason Bateman,
really?
um, yep,
That's funny.
um,
I forgot he was
he's
in
yeah,
this.
it's funny. He's in it, and the other one who you might not remember being in it, but is in it, is John Favreau.
Really?
Yep,
That's
he's
funny.
He's Gary's best friend.
Really? How did I
Yeah,
forget?
yeah.
Man, I know I've seen at least some of this movie, but I've completely forgot about that. That's funny.
Um, to be fair, Vince Vaughn and John Favreau did a few movies
Yeah,
together.
where
He was
they're
in
like,
Couples Retreat too.
yeah, Swinger. They met on Swingers, I think. Yeah, they've been doing movies. They play best friends a lot, so it doesn't
Yeah.
surprise me. It just was like, oh yeah, I completely. Um,
Um, but yeah, Jason Bateman sells their place, and then they move out, like, and break up and move out, and then the way the movie ends is that, like, I don't know how, an indeterminate amount of time later, they meet again by chance on the street, and there's like awkward, friendly catching up. They part ways and look back at each other and smile, and it's like kind of implied that it's like, oh, it was nice to see him again, but like they're not together. They don't get
yeah,
back together. There's none of them like being like, oh, even though we were terrible to each other, I actually still love you and want to be with you, and it's so unrealistic because spoiler alert, that's not how life works.
right.
Um, you stay broken 99% of the time. You once you break up, that's it. You stay broken up. You're
Yep,
not back together. You're not. No, it's
yep.
not. There's none of this. Will they? Won't they? No, they don't. They won't. They moved on. They have a new girlfriend and a new boyfriend named Steve, and Steve is a better lover than you.
Whoa, whoa, that took a turn. Jordan, are you confessing something?
No,
Do you have, it just, that felt really specific. Like it might have happened to you.
I mean, no. I had someone who then had someone
Who
who
was a better lover than
clearly
you?
was better, who clearly was a better lover than me because I mean, obviously,
Yeah,
you know,
naturally. But no, yeah.
naturally.
That's one of those movies where it's like,
Self-deprecating, self-deprecating humor aside, overall, it's a good movie. It's enjoyable, and I
yeah,
do like it.
yeah. I've heard a lot of people say that they like it because because it's so real. Like it's such a realistic
Yeah,
representation of just like a decaying relationship where it's how petty and how small and how awful you can become to each
mean.
other.
How
How
mean you can
mean.
be.
Yeah. And it's like, yeah, he's meaner, but it's not to say that she's not mean. It's like,
Oh no, she's very specifically trying to make him jealous and make him feel bad by going out with other guys like in front of him, like
and it's just like,
making
yeah,
sure that he
as
knows.
much as like, yeah, I think if I recall, the movie frames it as though him not moving out, he's the unreasonable one, but she could buy him out. Just
Yeah,
saying.
I think which he does kind of. I think at one point he says that like he's like, you could buy me out and you would pay. It was something like you'd pay like a surcharge or something like an inconvenience fee essentially. But no, there's a point where like at the end where once Gary is kind of realized that he wants her back and he tries to make an effort, too little too late, where they finally like kind of talk reasonably, and she once again is like, I feel unappreciated and X, Y, and Z, and this is how I feel. And he's all like, well, I mean, you never said that to me. And she's like, I said X, Y, and Z. And he's like, well, I mean, you may have said things that you thought that I should understand to know that this is what you mean. but I'm not a mind reader, and unless you come out and directly like talk to me and communicate with me,
Yeah.
how would I know this, right? And it's
Yeah.
like I like that message where it's like, yeah, he wasn't reasonable, but she made mistakes too, and maybe it's cold of me and dark of me and bitter of me, but I appreciate that in the end in this movie that they don't end up together.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because
I think
it's
that's an important lesson, and that's a good thing to kind of show in the world is
yeah.
that sometimes the happy ending isn't that everyone gets back together.
Yeah, well, yeah. Sometimes the happy ending is that you've grown emotionally as a person. That can be that can you've
Yeah,
learned a lesson about communicating going forward in your future relationships. Like it's like yeah,
and so yeah, you can be better for that next
I
relationship.
appreciate that message of like yeah I'm not a mind reader. I can't just read minds. I need you to communicate. You need to communicate to me so that I can communicate. I can't communicate to you if you're not communicating to me in the first place. Like I
Yeah,
like communication's a two-way street that is constantly going back and forth. It's not just like you're feeding in one direction, you're feeding in another direction. It has to constantly be moving back and forth. I mean, that's a lesson we've had to learn over the years as as successful award-winning podcast hosts,
yeah,
right? Like you can't just assume
it's true.
that you
It's very,
know
very true.
what your podcast host is going to do.
And that's where um
You don't just win awards and
this is
vacuum
this
people.
movie is part of this movie is kind of part of why I also say that in the Bounty Hunter, I think that it's Gerard Butler who is kind of the problem, because in this I believe that Vince Vaughn and Jennifer Aniston were a functional working couple that
Yeah.
broke down.
Yeah, they feel like yeah, you're right. It feels like a real couple, like a real relationship, and she feels like a real. But to be fair, I would say the same thing about Vince Vaughn. That's the first time in and I think any movie really I've ever seen him in where he was a person, where he acts like a person.
Yeah, I like in other movies like Couples Retreat, for example. He's more of like a caricature of a person.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and there's just certain actors that are just like that, where it's like I like Will Ferrell. Will Ferrell never, rarely acts like a real person, and I more recently he has been, but
Or
back in the day
or
he didn't act like a real person.
or another example of that I would say is Jason Bateman.
Yes, yes, yeah, yeah, yeah. He did a show Ozark where he was a real person in it. And I'm like, yeah, he's not usually he very rarely gets to be a real person. Him less so. He does have more than less where he's a real person, but he's definitely an example of one.
I would argue one of the best examples of him acting like a real person that I can think of, funny enough, is Zootopia, where he's a
Yeah,
fox.
I could see why you would say that. Yeah, that is kind of the more real. But otherwise, yeah, but also I mean, he's just kind of Jason Bateman, just based upon interviews I've seen with him. That just seems to be his personality.
Yeah, yeah. Anyways, that's the breakup. Doesn't have necessarily a happy ending, but I think it's the ending that we all
So,
needed, if
so
not the one that the characters wanted.
I remembered today that I can do this. So yeah, and a big old. Oh, is it? It's not making the sound. There we go. Now it's making the sound. We did it.
It made the sound.
Oh, it didn't for me
I
at
heard
first.
sounds.
I remembered and I discovered it quite a number of weeks ago. I have a soundboard, and I can do stuff like
Yeah, we can see it when you do it on the screen.
that's funny. That's funny. That's hilarious.
Oh,
Uh,
you have an actual like a animation that pops up on yours.
that's hilarious.
That's funny.
See now,
Huh.
there it is. It did
Oh,
before.
honk,
Sad
honk.
crickets.
Crickets, 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 crickets.
I can't promise I'm gonna remember to do that. It interrupts the conversation
Anyway,
so badly.
we're 12.
Anyway,
Let's keep going.
we have an audience to entertain. Gosh darn it, no. Okay, so for me, I
Diggity
picked
dang it.
for my second one I had seen. We're gonna do three. and it's going to be less of an exploration of the movies themselves and more talking about the character. I will touch on the individual movies, but we're going to mostly be talking about the character. So, I watched Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn. I was going to say Harlow Quinn. Harley Quinn trilogy. Beginning with David Ayer's Suicide Squad, moving into The Suicide Squad, and rounding it out with Birds of Prey, open parentheses, and the fantabulous emancipation of one Harley Quinn, close parentheses. And here's the thing.
That's a mouthful.
Yes, it is. She is not bad in any of these movies. We have talked about the protective celebrity bubble. I would put her in that because she, as Harley Quinn, in terms of just sheer performance, is great. She's always a fun character. She's got a lot of really fun one-liners. And this is a rare instance of these movies kind of like have a they kind of start down here and work their way up. Like it's kind of an incline in quality as opposed to a decline. Because the first one, 2016 David Ayer's Suicide Squad, is very bad. It is a very bad movie. My goodness, is it a very bad movie. It's like it's a movie where it feels like it introduces characters multiple times, but yet I feel like I still know nothing about them. Like, the individual performances are good, but the writing's bad. It really would have benefited from there being... I know we always say this a lot, but this universe needed a Batman movie. And what I realized when I was watching The Suicide Squad was it needed a Batman movie... Because the best parts of that first Suicide Squad movie... Jordan, do you remember that first Suicide Squad movie? You've definitely seen it. Jordan? Jordan, you there? Can you hear me?
I'm having sound issues where I'm only hearing every other word. Heard something about first Suicide Squad movie?
Yes.
What about it?
Do you remember that movie? How much of it do I need to
Is that the one where it's the is that the one where it's the Enchantress shows up?
Yeah. Yes,
then I remember enough. I think Jared Leto shows up at one point as the Joker.
Joker, yes. Which,
or as I like to call him, not the Joker.
Here's the thing, okay? Here's the thing with Jared Leto Joker. Is I don't hate him conceptually. Like, I don't hate...
You mean the Jared Leto, not the Joker.
Yes, the Jared Leto. Like, I don't hate the idea of he's like a gangster who's like insane and he has like a gang and he's like an Italian or a mobster. He's like a mobster. I don't hate that idea, and he kind of controls the town on a criminal level. Here's kind of the issue, and it's a recurring issue, is it's really reliant on you just understanding who the Joker is, but like we don't know who this Joker is. We don't know how he's different from previous versions of the Joker. So like they want to be like, oh, Harley Quinn, like they want to talk about how Harley Quinn and the Joker are like the king and queen of the crime of Gotham, but they never really show it. So this movie would really benefit from it needed a Batman movie. Like if they had done a Batman movie post Man of Steel, where it's basically the best part of the movie is the opening sequence where it's Batman and the Flash going around capturing all of these villains. So make it a Batman versus Joker movie, or make it where it's Batman and he's got to go around and capture all of... So it's like there's a scene in the movie where he's capturing Deadshot, where he's capturing Captain Boomerang, where he's capturing all of the characters who wind up in Suicide Squad, and have it be where it's like a Batman versus them movie, so that when they're in the prison... And then really work hard, like, to establish the Joker as, like, a lived-in character in this universe. Because, like, yeah, stuff like he's got metal teeth because Batman punched in his teeth because he killed the Joker, or killed Robin. Like, that's interesting stuff that this movie just kind of glosses over because they just want to jump straight into the team-up. But it's like, well, no, you need a movie, like, and that's the main problem with the DC stuff, is you need a movie where, you establish this universe, because yeah, sure, I know the Joker, but I don't know this version of the Joker or this version of Harley Quinn. And that gets to my second point, which is Harley Quinn is a completely different character movie to movie. So she shows up in 3 movies and she's completely different. So like, and they can't decide whether or not she's smart or self-aware or insane. Like the first movie sort of implies that she like enjoys pulling people apart. Like she likes finding a thing. She like using her psychology degree to find the thing that the person is most like insecure about, and then make them doubt themselves about it. And like she just enjoys toying with people in that regard. And the whole movie she wants to, I mean, yeah, I'm sure the whole movie she wants to get back to the Joker, and she's waiting for the Joker to come get her. And then yeah, there's all the nonsensical stuff with the Enchantress and how that movie that doesn't make any sense, because it's like the Enchantress betrays the group, but we don't know, the group has never met Enchantress, so like the movie wants to play it like it's this big betrayal, but they don't know her. So it's like, yeah, make it where it's like, this movie clearly should make it so it's about them fighting the Joker. Like that's what this movie should have been about, is they're trying to take down the Joker. So then at the end, because a big part of a lot of these movies is this, that superheroes exist. So Enchantress shows up, and the big bad thing, you're like, this feels like a Justice League level problem. Like it feels like the Justice League would come in and help. Like this is like a supernatural, like these aren't people. Like half of the group who are with it, like it's the Suicide Squad, which is Harley Quinn, Captain Boomerang, Killer Croc, Deadshot, and
Peacemaker.
No, that's the second one. Who am I missing?
War Machine.
Captain Boomerang, Killer Croc, Diablo, the fire guy. They're there with a bunch of soldiers, and it's like 2/3 of these guys just are ridiculous super villain costumes, and it just like doesn't, it looks weird, and it doesn't jive, and you're like, wait, like, yeah, and it's just like, you're like, this doesn't make any sense. So I'm gonna do this in release order. So I thought that the next one was The Suicide Squad, which is the James Gunn one. But as it turns out, apparently, the Harley Quinn movie, or Harley Quinn and the
And the Mouthful.
and the Fantabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn, I thought that came out in between Suicide Squad and the Suicide Squad, the James Gunn one. So I was confused. I was like, wait, that movie implies that she got away. So how did she wind up in the Suicide Squad? I'm like, how did she wind up? This timeline doesn't make any sense. Like, because she's still in Gotham and she's got this whole system of whatever. So you haven't seen the Harley Quinn movie. So that I have to run through the plot on. So Harley Quinn.
Only if you want me to understand what's going on.
So Birds of Prey is basically about, it takes place after the Suicide Squad. So it takes place like 6 months after the Suicide Squad. And the Joker and Harley Quinn.
After the first one.
The first one. And so the Joker and Harley Quinn have broken up. And as a result, all of the criminals, she's no longer being protected by the Joker. And so all of the criminals in Gotham are now after her. And she is looking for, long story short, there's a MacGuffin, there's a diamond, that Black Mask and the cops are looking for, and it's connected to this one crime family, whatever. And he needs it so he can have enough money to take over Gotham, the criminal world of Gotham. And so he goes after Harley Quinn, who he thinks has it, and she offers her services as like a bounty hunter or whatever, a mercenary, to go track down this diamond, who has been picked up by a pickpocket, Cassandra Cain. And basically turns out that she's eaten the diamond, she swallowed the diamond, and Harley is taking care of her, while also we're introduced to the various birds of prey. So Black Canary, Huntress,
Huntress,
and
Black Cat,
no, Black Cat's not in this one.
Catwoman.
No, Catwoman's not in this one. It's just those two. I'm trying to think if there's one more. Black Canary. And then there's a cop. I think that's it. I think this is, yeah. And so they're also trying to find the diamond. It's all of them trying to find the diamond. And it's frustrating because the character that at one point there was going to be a Harley Quinn Joker movie, where it was going to be a Harley Quinn versus the Joker movie. And this is very clearly the skeleton of what that was, because the character of Black Mask is just the Joker, or certainly Ian McGregor, who's playing him, thinks he's the Joker, so he's like playing him as the Joker. And so the movie.
Well, someone had to, because Jared Leto.
And that's the thing, is so that movie wants to distance itself from the Jared Leto Joker. So you never see the Joker in it, except for in like one flashback. And you only see him from behind, and you only otherwise see him in 2D animated flashbacks where he's not dressed like Jared Leto's Joker at all. He's dressed like the Mark Hamill Joker. He doesn't have the tattoos or the teeth. He's wearing a traditional purple coat, and he just looks like the Mark Hamill Joker. And so a lot of this movie doesn't make any sense, because a lot of it's like, oh, the Joker is still around, but he just broke up with Harley Quinn, and so all the bad guys are no longer are after Harley Quinn, because she's no longer being protected by the Joker, because they're no longer dating. But like, he's still around, so like they wouldn't want to mess with her anyway. And there's a lot of this movie is like, well, why isn't Batman dealing with this? Like, it just sort of feels like this is a Batman level problem. Like, it's something that's taken over the whole city.
There is no Batman.
So it's like, why is Batman not dealing with this? It feels like Batman could be involved here. And so if that movie,
because he's too busy across the river fighting his true nemesis, Superman.
And it's frustrating. No, this is after Superman's already dead, because it takes place after 2016 Suicide Squad.
Well then that's why, because he's too busy setting up the Justice League to fight against Apocalypse.
All right, I'll accept that. That's a reasonable explanation. And these movies are confused because they can't decide whether or not Harley Quinn is like this brilliant genius, or like a ditzy moron, or insane. And this movie's a big problem with that. From like scene to scene, she's either super smart or super dumb, depending on what the scene needs. What was my other point about it? Oh, at one point,
I mean, you could argue that that's a result of her being crazy.
I mean, yeah, but not in that way. In just like she's being inconsistently written way. Like, I know what you mean, but that's not how it's being presented. Yeah, right. So at one point you could tell that this movie was, Black Mask was clearly the Joker. Because there's a moment where, and if you're familiar with Black Mask at all in the comics, it's just like, he's not like this. But there's a moment in the middle, or there's a moment.
Isn't he just a gangster?
Kind of, yeah. He's a mobster, and his whole thing is he wears a black skull mask. And
yeah, like that's really the only thing that makes him different from a mobster is that he wears a black mask.
You never see his face. Whereas in this, he's Ian McGregor the whole time until the end when he puts the mask on. But he's very clearly meant to be the Joker originally, because there's a bit when he hires Harley Quinn to go find the diamond, where he hires her, and then he puts out a thing to like hire every criminal in town. He's like, "Oh, put out a $500,000 bounty to get this diamond." Also, by the way, I could totally see your hairy leg. Just so there you go. Not unless you're not self-conscious about
that.
Up
on my doesn't show up on my screen.
Oh, it does on mine. Anyway, so there's a point, where once he's hired her to go get this diamond, where he's like, put out a $500,000 bounty for any person to get her, because it'll be fun. And it's like, well, why would he do that? That doesn't make any sense. It just muddies the water and makes it more difficult for her to get the diamond and for him to get the diamond by extension. That feels like a Joker move. Like it's just to do it chaotically. And her not being protected and stuff makes sense if it's like she's broken up with the Joker and she's having to have gone crawling back to him for some reason, and she's getting the diamond for her, and the movie's about her like going through this like sense of self-discovery about not needing the Joker, and that's her journey to find that. It feels like that story is still in this movie, but he was just changed from the Joker to Black Mask, and it just makes the movie not make any sense, because you're like, yeah, they keep saying this stuff about the Joker, but we've never seen that version of the Joker be like the Joker. It's like you said, he's not really the Joker. So it's like it's a fine movie, and that's kind of the issue with these movies is they're fine movies individually, but when you connect them to an overall narrative or to an overall universe, they don't make any sense. It's incoherent as a connective trilogy. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. Sure. Which then leads me to my final one, The Suicide Squad, which is the only one of these I would say is a good movie. It's really fun. She's really fun. And the other thing that's interesting about this is as these movies go on, like in the first one, she's got like this really like noticeable face tattoo on her face that's like really pronounced. And as those movies go on, they like de-emphasize them. Like they're still there because clearly they want to remain consistent, like from this character to remain consistent from like an appearance standpoint. But they really de-emphasize these face tattoos almost as if like they're like ashamed of them, and they really move away. So like the James Gunn Suicide Squad doesn't even remotely mention the Joker. Like, I mean, other than like a sort of loose reference back to him, but it doesn't really mention him at all. But it's a fun movie. It's the only one of these that I would qualify as a legitimately good movie. It's super fun.
Have I seen that one?
Yeah, we watched that one in theaters. That's one of the first ones we went back. 2021 it came out in. So we went back to theaters for that. That was one of the first movies we went back to theaters for.
I don't remember that one.
It was on Crave for the longest time. It sucks they took it off. But it's like it's the movie that first one wants to be. So there's a shit ton more Suicide Squad people, so they're way more expendable. It kills off people, which is a mistake the first one makes. Does it kill? It's called the Suicide Squad, but yet none of the characters die. Whereas more than 2/3 of the characters are just dead by the end of it. It does fun stuff with Polka Dot Man. It's really just like the Guardians of the Galaxy for DC, but R-rated. It's the movie that kind of made me go, you know what? All right, James Gunn, you go make your Superman movie. You go take that chance. I'm willing to. Let's
you shoot your shot.
Let's see what he's got going on. It was the 1-2 punch of that in Guardians 3 that I went, all right, you go make your Superman movie, James Gunn. You do your little DC universe. But it's fun.
You shoot your shot.
But yeah, she's just once again, comparing Harley Quinn to like Barbie, just two entirely different characters, and it's impressive. And like I say, the movies may be bad. Like the Harley Quinn movie, I don't think is very good. It's inconsistent. And the Suicide Squad, the first one, is bad, but she's not bad in them, and I think that's sort of worth mentioning. She's not bad in them. She is great, and she clearly loves that character. And she has a reverence for that character. And there's all sorts of fun references to Harley Quinn history. And clearly, when it comes to like the tattoos, I feel like she only has them because she tried to marry her look to Jared Leto. Like, I feel like had he not done the tattoos, I think everything I don't like about her aesthetics and her design is his fault. Like, I think ultimately it all goes back to his awful Joker. I think. But like, also,
I would agree with that.
Also, I want to see, not now, but like retroactively, I would have wanted to see a Jared Leto like Batman, team him with the Batman, put him with Ben Affleck Batman, and like let that be And like maybe do a thing where he starts off as a traditional Joker and he becomes that. Justify him being like that narratively. That's my thing with that version of that character is they never justify it narratively. They're just like he's just that way for some reason, and then they never bother to explain why. And then they don't even have or bother to be like it's just because he's the Joker and the Joker is that way. I don't know. I think it's fixable. I think if like had someone told Jared Leto like to stop, like there's a point where he should have stopped. I give you, and like maybe if someone had said like maybe no to the tattoos, maybe no. But anyway, I think I've rambled on long enough about Harley Quinn and the Suicide Squad movies. That was Harley Quinn and the Suicide Squad movies.
Harlequin.
Do we went over? So that was the have scenes.
That was the have
Harley
scenes.
Quinn. Harlequin? So I think
Harlan Quinzel.
Jordan, I think I like your suggestion of going back and forth for all of them. I think I like that. Let's keep that for the haven't scenes as well. If you're cool with that.
Okay. No, yeah, no, that means that, you know, we don't do what we just did, which is like 20 minutes of you just talking and me
Yes,
pretending like I was listening.
but the thing is, Jordan, that 20 minutes now gets to be a YouTube video. When I decided to smush those together, I very much knew it was going to be a YouTube video.
I mean, that's fair.
Don't worry,
I was
Jordan.
still pretending to listen.
Don't worry,
And
Jordan.
that's what's important.
You've still got to learn about Tarzan. I have a surprising amount to say about Tarzan coming up later.
Oh.
But we're gonna end with Tarzan because the Tarzan lesson has less to do with Margot Robbie, and it's just stuff that's interesting. Um, what is the first movie you hadn't seen, Jordan?
The first one.
Oh, we will maintain.
Called...
Sorry, just for the sake of brevity, because we've hit 2 hours. Let's do this interview style.
Hey, I blame you.
Yeah, no, it's totally my fault. Let's do this interview style again and bypass summarization, if that's cool with you.
Cool. My first have seen is Picture Perfect.
Okay. What is Picture Perfect about, Jordan, in a sentence or less?
Cold Notes version. Jennifer Aniston, because her friend lied on her behalf, has to pretend that this dude that she just met once at a wedding, at a wedding that she went to, that she's engaged to him. Then dude goes and gets himself famous, goes to meet him in person and be like, "Hey, so I have this elaborate lie. Can you come back with me and sell it?" And he is just immediately like, "Fuck it, I'm down. What, you want me to go with you? Okay, sure. What's the story? Okay, you have like a 10-page document for me to memorize. All right, cool. And along the way, they actually start liking each other.
So wait. So they're trying to fool her family is the thing?
Her bosses.
Oh, okay. So it's a workplace. Oh, okay. So it's a workplace. They're trying to fool a workplace.
She works at an advertising firm, and her big boss, at a certain point is basically like, yeah, you built this whole advertising campaign for us, and you're really really good at your job, but I'm a terrible person, so I'm not gonna let you actually rise in this company because you don't have any like debt or a family or something that's gonna tie you to me and make me able to make sure that you stay with me for many many years to come. You're essentially a free agent who could take any of these awesome campaign, like any of these people that you bring to our company, and you could just walk at any moment and take these big people with you, and that's not beneficial to me. And so then her friend is all like, "Oh, but here's this picture of her and her fiance, like they're actually engaged." And then he's all like, "Oh, so you actually do have a ball and chain? Cool. Now you can be on. Now I can give you that promotion that you worked and definitely earned."
So, Jordan? Whoa. Oh.
I think I've lost you.
Oh,
Are you back?
Yeah, you were frozen there for a bit, and it was just me. I was talking to myself.
Your picture is gone, and I can hear you, and that's all that matters.
Okay.
Um, Yeah, this is the one where that has the dude from Pauly and Kevin Bacon is in it.
Right. So sorry, Kevin Bacon is her boss. Is that because you were telling me about Kevin Bacon
Kevin
earlier?
Bacon is Kevin Kevin Bacon is a coworker.
Coworker. Okay.
I
So so
her
so
boss
hold on. Let me run through these roles, and you just say yes or no. So Jay Moore.
Kevin Dunn is Kevin Dunn is her boss.
Gotcha. So okay. So I'm gonna say I'm gonna run through the roles. You say yes or no. So Jay Moore, love interest.
Yes.
Kevin Bacon, rival love
Kind
interest.
yeah, kind of.
Kind of. Okay. Okay.
Or if you prefer Kevin Bacon, office slut.
Okay. And so Jay Moore is like a friend of a family friend or whatever, and he's at the same wedding that Jennifer
He was
Aniston is.
the
Is that how this is?
he was the wedding filmographer.
Okay. And she's friends with
So
someone in the
he's
wedding,
she was
or she's just a
she was the
guest.
maid of honor.
Okay. And so
So
someone managed to get
so
a picture of them together.
they first meet. They first meet because he's like, I need to, you need to say a message on the video for the bride,
Gotcha.
basically. And Jennifer Aniston does it. And then, yeah, at the wedding, the point of the wedding is that at each of the tables, there's, I don't, what's the type of camera where you take the
Oh,
camera
Polaroid.
and the picture comes out?
Polaroid.
Yeah. And so the bride and groom to be are basically like at each of your tables, there's a camera and we want you guys to take the pictures.
Oh, and so this picture, this titular picture, whatever. That's the Polaroid that the bosses see.
Yeah. It's yeah.
Okay. Because I'm like how did they get in a pic? If he's the photographer and she's in the wedding party, like how did they get in a picture together?
He's also he's also best friends with the groom.
Okay. Because I'm just like, yeah,
So
that's the
he's a
part of this I'm not
dual.
getting. I'm like, how did they wind up in the picture together? Come on, man. We're like at the end. Give it a second.
I'm not catching any of this.
How about now?
Now you're there.
Yeah, I was just saying it wouldn't be a spur of the moment podcast without friggin' tech issues, and it's annoying because we're like in the
It's
home
still
stretch.
it keeps stuttering on YouTube too,
Really?
which makes me think it's an internet thing.
Oh, this sucks.
Anyway, yeah. So what was your question?
Uh, uh,
They meet at the wedding. The
at the wedding.
Polaroid. Her
Polaroid.
bosses. Her friend shows her bosses the picture.
Oh, that's what I was gonna say.
And then fabricates this story, and it snowballs into
She
this
she
gigantic
she
story.
contacts Jay Moore and is basically like, "Come sell this lie with me." And he's like, "Yeah, sure, why not?" And she writes him like a Bible,
She offers
basically.
she, she 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 offers to pay him $1,000 to come to a dinner with her bosses because her bosses are like we want to meet him because he's famous, right? Like
Interesting.
he's been on the news.
So it's interesting to me
And
with.
so she
Sorry.
goes seeks him out through the mutual friend or whatever, and is like, "Here's $1,000 if you come to dinner with me and essentially fake a breakup."
Oh, interesting. Because this it's just like this. It just surprised me. Like normally stories are like this are like you have to sell it to the family. So it's just funny to me that it's just about selling it to the boss. Like that's that. I don't get that a lot.
I mean, her
Um,
mom is a character, and she doesn't believe like Jennifer Aniston's character tries to tell her the truth at one point, and she doesn't believe the truth and actually believes the lie more than the truth.
interesting.
Um,
You know,
so there is that whole aspect of
you,
things,
you know what this
and so yeah, so
Sorry.
it keeps it ends up where it's like at the dinner, she keeps trying to get Nick to break up with her, and Nick keeps like not wanting to because he genuinely likes her, and she ends up like they end up like staging it or whatever, and the bosses really don't like him and all that, and meanwhile, so Kevin Bacon's character had no interest in Jennifer Aniston's character at all until he finds out that she is supposedly engaged, and at that point he's very into her, and they're sleeping together, and he thinks that she's cheating on her fiance with him, which she like we as the audience can kind of figure out that that's the only reason he's interested in her
Yeah.
is because he's a dick.
Yeah.
Like he's a sleazebag dick, and he's supposed to be like the office hot, like all the girls like him and all the girls are into him, and I just don't see it.
So is this
I
like
don't think Kevin Bacon. I don't think Kevin Bacon is a very attractive man.
is this like young Kevin Bacon or is it like older Kevin Bacon?
This is 1997, so I don't know how old he is.
Hmm.
He has long hair, and he looks like.
I mean, I don't
I don't
find
think again. I don't know. I don't think he's that attractive of a
uh,
man, but he's supposed to be hot enough that Jennifer Aniston. That's part of why Jennifer Aniston ends up going along with this lie, is so that she can get with Kevin Bacon.
yeah. Yeah.
Which I just don't see. I don't get. But anyways, so it ends up where uh shit happens. It looks like Nick and Kate aren't going to end up together, and she sort of realizes that she does actually like him, and and Jennifer Aniston does actually end up admitting like all of the lie to her bosses and
You
stuff,
know what I
and
was
that's
gonna
where her
say?
boss
You know what this
is
reminds me
like,
of? This movie reminds me
yeah,
of. I don't know if you've heard of it, but I'm gonna take a shot because it really reminds me of um, Ricky Stenicki.
no,
The
I've
name.
never heard of that one.
It's John Cena, Zac Efron, and other cast members whose names you don't know and they're not important. And it's a similar kind of. It's similar. It's not the same. It's similar where it's like they create a fake friend or whatever, and they need him to come to and prove that he's real, basically. And they write him a big old Bible of all the various rules and whatnot of how to be like a big the Ricky Stenicki Bible, how to be Ricky Stenicki, and that's what this
Oh,
reminds me of. Where it's like
interesting.
a Bible of how to be her boyfriend or whatever.
Yeah, it's certainly like a document that
Yeah, that's
he has like
commitment.
one scene
It's
where he's reading
commit
it.
like
Um,
lie
um,
based situational comedies like this rarely commit to that level of detail where it's like they always just like improv and make it up on the fly, and I'm like, no, a consistent plan and you can sell the lie way easier.
well, that's where it's funny because yeah, when she gives him the package, she's like, I've also written out like our breakup in there, kind of like a script, but she's like, fill it in with your own words and like how you would say it. But
Yeah.
this is a general outline of
Like
how it should
we're
go.
gonna play fast and loose with it. We don't just have fun. Let's have fun with this. Let's
Pretty,
make it
pretty, yeah,
exciting.
pretty much. That's what she says.
That's so funny.
And so yeah, she ends up admitting, like confessing to her bosses and stuff about it all, and her boss is you know impressed and admits how he exaggerated his own past at one point in his life. He lets Kate keep her job and is like, okay, maybe you should go upstate and like talk to Nick since you seem to actually like him. And um, which she does, and she goes to this wedding, and like she's apologizing and stuff, and like the priest is like, speak now or forever hold your peace, and like she speaks loud enough where she draws the entire people's attention, and the bride is like says to the groom is like, do we need to have a conversation? And he's like, I know, I swear to God, I've never seen her before in my life. And Jennifer Aniston's character is like, I'm sorry, like hiding behind Nick. She's like, I'm sorry, like no, I'm not, no, like no. And so then her and Nick go behind like a pole to like kind of have a conversation, and like the entire audience's heads are all turned back, like they're watching this thing, and she comes back out from behind, like they all like whip their head forward so that they're no longer like, looking at them. She goes to walk away and stuff, and they turn back and they're watching. It's really a funny and cute moment,
That's funny.
and they end up together. They're hugging and kissing, and the audience is congratulating and applauding, and then the actual bride and groom. And in my head, I'm like, I filled in the line, and I'm like, all right, yeah, that's a really cute wedding filmographer and random person who crashed our wedding. Can you please leave so I can have my wedding day now, please?
I noticed that you're presently stealing the thunder. I need you to.
At my wedding.
I don't know how to say this. Fuck off. Just out.
Fuck off,
Get
Nick.
out.
I'm paying you to film my wedding, not have your own
This
happy
is
ending.
nice, but end
Can you
it.
please tell your tell your Jennifer Aniston beauty to get the fuck out of here so we can get married.
Wrap it up, please. Wrap it up. If you gotta wrap it up.
But speaking of wrapping it up, that's all I have to say about Picture Perfect. It's fun, it's cute, it's good. It's from 1997, so they have car phones and gigantic cell phones that date it. It's
It's
hilarious.
amazing. That's my favorite thing about watching ancient ass movies. Is like, there's a thing that immediately dates it, and sometimes it's a
As
pop
soon
culture
as I saw
reference.
the
Sometimes it's a joke. Sometimes it's a piece of technology.
as, as soon as I saw the car phone, I just started laughing. I'm like, oh my
That's
god, it's a car
yeah.
phone.
Remember when they thought that was gonna be a thing?
And when I
Um,
say like the cell phones are bulky, like man,
right? People didn't
they're
think cell phones were
bulky.
gonna catch on. Who's laughing now? So that's what you have to say about Picture Perfect.
Yes,
Was that?
that's all I have to say.
Would you recommend it to me specifically?
Uh, to, to you,
Would I
do
like
you
it?
like romantic comedies?
Yeah.
Then you might find it cute.
Okay.
It's cute,
Is it on anything?
inoffensive.
Is it on anything that's easy to access?
Yes, I believe that one's on Disney Plus
Interesting. All right.
because it was a Fox movie.
Good to know. Good to know. Maybe I will check that out. My first one I hadn't seen was a little movie called Jordan Focus. 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 That's right. The movie's called Focus, Jordan. And it's actually it's okay. Um, um, I have well. First of all, Jordan, I know you're supposed to be asking me questions. Prepare your questions, any questions you may have. Um, have you heard of
Okay,
Focus?
I have a few.
Okay.
No, that was going to be my first question is give me a quick 2 minute summary of what is
Oh, this
Focus.
is very easy. See, the lovely thing is these are very easy to summarize. Um, Focus is about Margot Robbie. She is a burgeoning thief, stealing stuff, ripping off people, scam artist. And she meets Will
Right,
Smith,
right.
and Will Smith is like an expert.
Oh, I know which one you're. Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
and
yeah,
they
yeah.
fall in
Okay.
love. And it's pretty good, honestly. It here okay. I will let you ask any questions.
So,
Here's what I will say. All the bits where it's them doing crimes and then stealing people and them like pickpocketing people are awesome. Like, they brought in Apollo Robbins, which I'm not sure if you know by name, but you definitely know him because I've shown you his videos. Uh, uh, there was one where he did a TED talk, um, where it was about stealing the attention away from the security guard in your mind, and he walked around the audience and he took people's watches and stuff. Oh, if I haven't shown
okay.
it to you, I'm going to after this because it's really good. Um, and it's all about like getting in close to people and like invading their space to disarm them, so you can like take stuff off of them without noticing. He consulted on this movie, so like
Right,
there's a lot of scenes where
right.
Margot Robbie is going through and like pickpocketing people, like pickpocketing the watches and like stealing people wallets and like taking people's watches. Like she's doing the trick where she takes a person's
Sure.
watch off without them noticing as she like walks by people. And like in one scene they said she did 9 lifts in one scene. And like that's crazy. Like it's impressive. The work that went
So,
into it and the amount of
so,
sorry.
so I was just gonna say, having seen this movie, would you say that this is more of a Will Smith movie or more of a Margot Robbie movie?
I say it's honestly it initially it's more of a Margot Robbie. Well, it's pretty balanced. I'd say 50-50. The second half, which is not as good as the first half, becomes a bit more of a Will Smith movie, but it's one of those movies where it's like there's a bunch of twists, so everything is at a distance. So I guess this very long way of me saying it's kind of both. I would say
Okay,
it's pretty
okay.
even, yeah, because it's about their relationship.
Um,
Like so, um, all like to say all of this stuff with the pickpocketing and the crime stuff is really cool and it's really impressive. And I was like, there's no way Will Smith learned any of this. And I went and I looked up, and it was like, no, 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 he did. He learned, but he was more interested in like the psychological aspect of it rather than the actual physical
The
act of doing it.
practical.
Yeah. Um,
Hmm.
but
Hmm.
sorry, I will let you ask your next question. But all that was to say that that stuff is really, really good and really, really interesting and really, really fun to watch.
Hmm.
And the rest of it, which is this romance between Margot Robbie and Will Smith, is awful. It is
So going back to
fucking
chemistry,
agonizing.
going back to the chemistry that we were talking about with Gerard Butler, would you say that Will Smith and Margot Robbie don't have chemistry?
Yes, absolutely. This is a case of, for me, and it's so wild to me because every review I read said how, like, even the negative ones were like, oh, their chemistry is good. And I'm like, no, no, it's not. It's so bad. Like, he's like 20 years
Interesting.
older than her,
Interesting.
and it's weird and it's gross, and it reminds me of like all the Alfred Hitchcock movies and like Jimmy Stewart making out with like way too young women, and it's just like, oh, it's just none of
Oh,
it's good. It's like the dialogue is
we're
so
gonna we're
sorry.
gonna talk about that.
All the
I said we're
dialogue
gonna
is
talk about that,
about
about age inappropriate things.
fair, yeah. And it's just like, yeah, they don't, they just, they it doesn't work. At least it didn't work for me. Like their relationship just is like, it's weird. The dialogue is awful. Their conversation, like I will say, there's a few moments where they have kind of fun banter, but where it gets overly, like they get overly romantic or sad. It's like, ugh. It's like it's not. The dialogue in this movie is horrendous, and it's funny. I've discovered um, that this is now the second movie where there's a point where there's too many twists and it becomes obnoxious. You're like, oh my god, another twist, and it becomes obnoxious.
Um, so is this on anything,
Yes,
and would you recommend it?
yes, I would. It's on Crave for us Canadians. I don't know what it would be on for Americans, but I think it's on Netflix in America. But it's on Crave for you, and if for just to see the pickpocketing stuff, I mean there's some fun heist stuff in there, but there's like, especially towards the end, the dialogue at the end. I rewatched it twice because I was like, what just happened? What is he saying? Because okay, I'm gonna give. Do you care if I give away the ending?
I mean, if you think I should watch it, maybe you shouldn't say anything.
Oh, okay, uh, okay, because there's a character in this.
You can if you want to, but
I doubt you'll.
if you're
You're
gonna give
you.
it,
I doubt you'll remember it. Um, but okay. The second half of the movie is basically this long form heist where they're trying to scam um, this rich billionaire Elon Musk type, and they're trying to steal his secret formula. And
is Krabby Patty, if you will.
his Krabby Patty secret formula, if you will. Um, and at the beginning of the movie, they tell a story about how um, shit, fuck, I can't remember what it's called. Oh, the Toledo Mover. Yeah, there's a movie. There's a move they called like the Toledo Move, where when you're in a scam, in order for your partner to prove their loyalty to the people you're scamming, they will shoot you to prove the loyalty to secure the scam. Because it's like you either like die for the scam, or yeah, you never give up. You never give up that it's a scam. You die before you do. And so his dad, Will Smith's dad, shot Will Smith's grandpa using the Toledo maneuver, and shot him and killed him. Um, and so, and the second half of the movie is basically about Will Smith trying to, yeah, scam this Elon Musk guy. And there's a point at the end where the Elon Musk guy has effectively figured out that Will Smith has scammed him and is pissed off and is threatening to um, threatening to kill him and Margot Robbie, and the Elon Musk has had this bodyguard who has basically been on Will Smith's ass the whole fucking time, and he's been an asshole to him. And it's like, oh, the young people are soft, and the young people are this, and the young people are that. He shoots Will Smith, and you think that Will Smith is dead, and the Elon Musk guy's like, holy shit, I didn't mean for it to go this far, and he's like, fuck this, I'm out, like, I'm not responsible for this, and he like walks away, and you think Will Smith is dead, and the Will Smith's dad, the guy, the bodyguard of Elon Musk, he's like, oh, I'm actually been working with Will Smith the whole time, and I've been in on the con, and this is the Toledo maneuver, and we're doing this, and I shot him through this space, so he's actually still alive if you do this just exactly right. And it turns out that this bodyguard is actually Will Smith's dad, and him and Will Smith have been working this guy for like 3 years or whatever. And the movie ends. He has this big long monologue about how, when I was standing on the barrel of this gun in this one stick up, and I was thinking of my son, and like I got out, but then he's like, oh, but I'm a criminal, and then it's at the end, the guy's like, oh, love in this business will get you killed, Margot Robbie and Will Smith, so I'm taking the money that we all got, and I'm leaving you, so I'm still a criminal, but don't be it's very confused. And so like that character's really frustrating and confusing, but yeah, otherwise, yeah. Do you have any other questions?
Does Margot Robbie have an accent in it?
She
Is
does,
she
yeah.
Australian?
No, she's not Australian. I thought for sure she would be. It's interesting though. Once again, her accent is like slightly different. It's more like Midwestern. Like that, she's so incredible at like adjusting that American accent. Like she's so good at regional dialects, considering she's not American. And when we get to my next one, I'm gonna talk about that as well with that one, because again, she's doing another accent, and it was one I wasn't expecting.
So I guess my last question would be: is she better or worse in this than as Harley Quinn?
Probably worse, because she's just so good at Harley Quinn. This is probably maybe a better movie than certainly the first Suicide Squad, not the Harley Quinn one, certainly not the Suicide Squad, but yeah, her and Will Smith, they're just so bad together. It was, you're like, ugh, they were awful together. It's otherwise it's not, yeah, it's fun, but it's like, ugh. Maybe if you buy their relationship, or you find that they have chemistry, you might like it, but nah. Anyway, that's
okay.
Focus.
I think that's all I have to ask about Focus.
That was Focus. What is your second you hadn't seen, Jordan?
Well, rumor has it.
Rumor has what?
No, that's the movie. Rumor
Okay,
has it.
okay, so okay, real quickly, in one sentence, what is this movie about? Because I have immediate questions. And I want to get to them right away.
Well, have you ever heard of the line, are you trying to seduce me, Mrs. Robinson?
Yes.
Well, this movie is basically that.
So, okay.
So Jennifer Aniston finds out that both her mother and her grandmother slept with what's the character's name? Bo something. Bo Burrows. And that the movie / book about the Miss Robinson and all that, whatever it's called. What's the movie?
The Graduate.
Yeah, that's based on her family story, basically.
Okay. So
And she thinks that this Bo Burrows is her father. She seeks him out.
Okay.
Ask your questions.
So this is based on. So okay. So this movie is implying that the movie The Graduate
It's not actually.
is based
It's
on
not
real people?
It's just. It's not from what I've read. It's very, very specifically. I don't remember if it's the director or whoever, but whoever made it was very much like, this isn't real. This is a fictitious story about that.
Okay. Because I was like, wait. So within the fictitious world of this movie, this family the book in this thing in
The
this
graduate.
in that universe that the movie exists. The Graduate was based on these people's lives, and the people who made the book and the movie had met these people and wrote that book, which the movie is based off of, about them. Am
Yes,
I understanding?
as I
Am I understanding the
as
premise
I
here?
understand as I understand it, yes.
And so the grandmother is the mother in that movie.
She's the character. She's the character, Mrs. Robinson,
Okay. Okay.
and Jennifer Aniston's mother is the
I've
daughter.
seen what's bad is I've seen the daughter. So does that mean that see the problem is you've never seen The Graduate.
That means that essentially,
So is there
and
a
this is what makes it weird. Essentially, Jennifer Aniston is the granddaughter.
granddaughter? Okay. So this Bo Bridges?
Bo Burrows.
Bo Burrows. So is
He's
he
played. He's played by Kevin Costner.
okay. So is the idea here that he is the Dustin Hoffman character from the Graduate?
Is he the main character?
Yeah, he's the guy who does Are You Trying to Seduce Me? He's the guy, yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
the
he's
implication
him.
here is that he's a
Except,
Dustin
except,
Hoffman
except
character?
the implication in this is that
I'm
the
so
movie
fascinated
maker,
by
bookmaker,
this.
or whatever took creative liberties. So he's like, in the movie he graduated from college because obviously it wouldn't sound as good if Miss Robinson seduced a dropout.
Oh, interesting. Okay, that makes sense. Because I've seen that's what makes this funny is I've seen The Graduate. I've watched it for Top 100, my hit series on TikTok and YouTube. Check it out. I've seen. By the way, I don't know if this bothers you, but I could see the corner of your tablet on. It doesn't bother me. I just um um
It's because usually I have the blanket on and I have the tripod a little bit higher,
uh
but I don't because it's too hot.
yeah, fair enough. Yeah, we're gonna have to
So it's just on my bed, which means it's lower, which means that it's picking up things that it normally wouldn't.
another day we'll discuss off air about equipment. Anyway, um Graduate. I've seen The Graduate, and so this is interesting to me that there's this okay. So there's this world where this thing. So okay, here further question. So like in this universe in which like there's also because there's also the song Mrs. Robinson, which is the movie, which is from the movie. So like, how do you go through life? Like, so did Jennifer Aniston know that they were the Robinsons from The Graduate, or like is
Not
that
not until basically this movie where she starts being like, okay, so wait, my mom went to Mexico and had and had this supposed fling, which she finds out from the grandmother. Had this supposed fling in Cabo, with not my dad. And so she starts doing the timeline of like, okay, so maybe my dad isn't my dad because she has nothing in common with her family and doesn't look like her family, and so it's like she's like, maybe this other dude is actually my dad, which is why she seeks him out. And meanwhile, Mark Ruffalo's character, her fiance, is like, yeah, sure, go ahead and like find out, what's the worst that could happen. And Jennifer Aniston goes and meets this
what is the worst that can
um
happen, Jordan? I assume since you said what's the worst that can
well
happen, there's a worst that can happen that happens.
well, let's just say that three generations of this family have um slept with Burrows. Uh
Wait, so she might have slept with her own
so
dad? Ding
no,
ding ding ding
he's
ding
the, the,
ding
the
ding
movie
ding
the movie
ding
takes
ding ding ding
the movie
ding.
takes makes very clear that he is not her dad. There is a confession from her actual dad at the end of the movie, which sets the record straight. Um, though there's definitely moments where the movie wants you to question whether or not he is her dad. Uh, I maintain that even if he's not her dad, the fact that okay, so in terms of this movie, in terms of the timeline, she meets him. They go out for drinks to talk about like all of this and the whole like story and everything. Um, he's like, I had testicular trauma, and so I'm sterile and can't have kids. And so then, while they've been drinking a lot, and I will gather that to you, it is a remarkable turnaround in my mind for an individual who, whether or not he is her dad, she thought he was.
Yeah.
Like,
So
she thought he was her dad, and then slept with him.
yeah, that's weird. Wait, so she cheats on
So,
Mark
so
Ruffalo?
yes, with Kevin
Ooh.
Costner, who in real life is like 19 years older than her.
Yeah. That's a little
In
weird.
the movie, he's her dad's age. Like,
Yeah.
that's whether or not he is actually her dad. To me,
She's
that's still weird.
she's got some stuff she needs to talk about
Like,
apparently.
the implication is that, like, essentially the way the movie plays it is that they're drinking and then she wakes up in his bed. Like, they
Oh,
don't show you any of the scenes where it happens. The implication is that she gets blackout drunk and he's so charismatic that
it just
they sleep
happens.
together.
So but
Yeah.
does he know that there's a potential that that might be his kid, or he just thinks that this is just
Oh, no,
another
no.
conquest?
There's no. He knows that there's no chance because he's sterile.
Right. Oh, right.
That's not a that's not a lie. He is actually, as far as the movie has told us and is concerned, he is actually
Right.
sterile. So the later on in the movie, she ends up running into his son, and he's a surrogate son. Like, he's not a real son. His wife
Gotcha.
had an artificial insemination, and his son doesn't know that he's not actually his dad. So it's like, as far as he's concerned, he is his dad, but it's like
Biological
biologically,
dad, not his biological dad. Still his dad.
yeah.
We respect,
Uh,
every kind of what have you.
you get what I'm saying. And so then at the end of the movie, basically, she ends up back with Mark Ruffalo, and he's like, "Oh, we'll get married and it'll work out, but it's under the condition that if we have a daughter, she's not allowed anywhere near Bo."
that's that's funny. So you would say, and based on description, that this is not a romantic comedy. Is it like it's not about
Uh,
the romance?
well, I y- yes, it is,
Is
but
it?
not with Mark Ruffalo.
Because
Really,
it's not about her and Mark
it's
Ruffalo
more
getting
like
together.
she has a she. Well, the entire point throughout it is that her family, I guess, because of like, her sister gets married at one point, and kind of the entire point is like, she knows that Mark Ruffalo is right for her and that he's the good choice, and that, like, sensibly he's the one that she does care for and wants to be with, but she has cold feet, essentially. Then she
Oh,
goes with Bo, and there's this spark where it's like he's exciting and he's fun, and like he owns a private plane and he can take her places and buy things for her, and like he's really fun to be around.
see, it's
So it's
funny.
like there's this romantic thing between them, but to me it's weird. Like, it's
See,
weird.
it's okay. So
I think it's weird.
to tie it to
But Google Wikipedia describes it as a romantic comedy film.
oh,
So,
all right. Um, so like okay, so like my thing is um having seen The Graduate and just off the top of my head, the beautiful thing about doing internet videos, right, is after this I'm gonna go watch my video and remind myself what I thought of The Graduate. But in this moment right now, talking to you, I don't remember specifically what I said, other than I remember Dustin Hoffman's character being really creepy and gross in that movie. Like I remember saying that. So it's just funny to me that you're like
not inaccurate.
he's like the real guy. He's based off of this charismatic, like, and it's like, well, if that's clearly how they saw, the people who made this movie saw Dustin Hoffman's character. If he's supposed to be an approximation of the Dustin Hoffman character, they saw that character as being some form of charismatic. And I just don't remember him being that way.
Right. That's what it is. Catherine, the grandmother, let slip that her late daughter, Sarah's mother, ran off to Cabo San Lucas a week before her own wedding with the bow dude, and
uh,
then Jennifer Aniston's character visits her mother's best friend, Aunt Mitzi, who confirms that Jocelyn spent time with their prep school classmate, Bo Burrows, the week before her wedding. And that's what sets her off to be like, okay, well, the timing there, he could be my dad.
So who makes the connection though, or who says, or where does they get this idea that they're based off of the people from The Graduate? Like, where does that come from? Who like, where does that
Aunt
idea?
Mitzi. Aunt Mitzi confirms Bo Burrows the week before the wedding, her father Earl. Bo was friends with Charles Webb, the author of the novel The Graduate.
Oh, okay. Because I was like, I don't the going to
And so
Cabo bit. That's not. I don't
he
think that's
based
in The Graduate.
he based the book around his friend Bo, basically, is the implication in this
Got
world.
it. Got it. Got it. Got it. Got it. Got it. Got it. That's so
And then
funny.
yeah, at the end of the movie, Jennifer Aniston's character is talking to her dad, and she finally just comes out and says to him like, um, "Mom ran off to Cabo San Lucas. Do you know why she came back?" And he's like, "Oh, you," or something effect. Like she brings up the subject basically of like, "Why are we so different?" And they end up talking about the Cabo San Lucas, and he's like, "Yeah, I know that she like went there with Bo or to be with Bo or whatever," and and she's like, "Why did Mom come back? Did she ever say?" And she's like, "Because she loved me." And he's like, so why I never asked for the details because they didn't matter because it's like, sure, she went off for a week with him to have wanted to do whatever, but ultimately she came back to be with me.
Yeah.
I won.
Yeah. 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 That's a nice way to look at it. So that's what's funny is the notion that they had to come out and be like, no, this isn't based on a true story. Um, it's funny to
At
me
least I think
because
I remember reading that.
I could believe it because when I remember when this movie came out, and it's the one thing I remember about it is hearing seeing the trailer or something connected to it and being like, wait, that Mrs. Robinson is like a real person. So it's just funny that it's like, no, she wasn't. She wasn't a real person. I just think that's
I'm gonna see
funny.
if I can find.
But while you
I'm gonna
have
see
to
if I
say
can
about
if I can find. I mean, it's weird. It's yeah.
yeah,
So yeah, when you look it up on Google, the first thing that comes up from the IMDb, no real people are portrayed in this film. This is a fictional film inspired by something that supposedly happened a long time ago.
that's so funny. That's funny that they
Hello?
had to. That's so funny. Jordan?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but
It's funny that they had to
no, yeah.
clarify.
Overall, it's a fun movie. It's cute. It's a little bit weird with the whole three generations of women from the same family sleeping with the same man.
Right?
That's a little weird to me, but uh, yeah.
Was that your last one?
uh,
That was your last one,
that's
wasn't
my
it?
last one.
That's your last one. I got one more, Jordan, and we're about to take a journey. We're about to learn a little about the world of Tarzan. So the second movie I saw was a little movie called The Legend of Tarzan with Margot Robbie and so one of the Skarsgårds. And let me ask you a question, Jordan, before I do this. Um, is everything you know about Tarzan from the Disney movie?
I mean that and Georgia the Jungle.
Right. So you know nothing about Tarzan apart from what you saw in the Disney
What
movie.
I know is what I know is boy gets lost in jungle. Boy, it's essentially like Jungle Book, like all of those stories where it's
So
boy gets lost in jungle. Boy is raised by animals. Boy becomes like man of the jungle.
a lot of this is gonna blow your mind. Okay. Um. So one thing, two things simultaneously kind of became apparent as I was watching this movie. I know very little about Tarzan, and the Disney movie is a bad adaptation because to start off with, um, and to bring it back to the original theme for a moment before we get into our Tarzan lesson, Jane is not British. Jane is American. because this, okay, so the plot of this is Tarzan basically is has left the jungle. He has left the jungle for many, many years. I think they say it's like 10 years. And he has been invited to go back to the jungle to essentially investigate the, because this movie is like, what if Tarzan was in the real world, essentially? Like what if
Sorry,
Tarzan, yeah.
real quick. I have to interrupt and just let you know, my phone has 15% battery life left. We gotta.
Okay. 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 I can do this quick. Give me a heads up if you hit 5 before I do this, before I finish this, because I feel like I can do this before you hit 5.
Okay, I'm just letting you know.
Okay. Well, okay. Worst case for the audience, we lose Jordan, and I gotta wrap up by myself. I go Jordan, and Jordan runs in here and joins me on my camera. That's the worst case, and I vamp for 2 minutes. Hopefully that doesn't happen. Okay, I'll do this quickly.
Oh,
Basically, this movie takes place after the original Tarzan. Because Tarzan in the original book is a lord. He's the child of two lord, a lord and a lady, rich people, and he is the heir to like a massive fortune. So at the end of that book, for a couple of them, he goes back to England because he's actually English in the original books. He goes back to England, and this movie is about him going back to the jungle, because this movie is what if Tarzan took place in the real world, essentially. And it's got a bunch of Samuel L. Jackson plays like a real person. There's like a bunch of real people in it. And so he goes back and he has to he basically gets enticed back by Christoph Waltz, who's this evil guy who's working for the Belgian whatever government, and he's being lured back there so he can be captured by a rival tribe. Because in the original books, you know how in the Disney movie Jane meets Tarzan and he's like, ooh, me Tarzan, you Jane.
hmm.
Yeah, that's not a thing in the books. In the books, he spoke and wrote English. Because you know how in the movie he finds the treehouse? Yeah, in the book he finds the treehouse when he's a kid, because he explores the jungle. And so he discovers the treehouse and he sees and his dad. Oh, also Kurt Jack. Oh, number one thing in the books, he's not raised by gorillas. And that was the thing that always perplexed me. I was like, well, he's raised by gorillas, but he swings from apes. So in the books, they're not actually gorillas. They're a separate kind of monkey. That's like a type of monkey that's between a gorilla and a chimpanzee, and it's called a mangini. And they have their own language that they communicate that's kind of close to English, but not quite English. And so, and also, there are other tribes. You know, the Disney movies, like, yeah, he's in like an isolated jungle with like no people around. Yeah, there's tribes. And so Kurt Jack is like the king of the. Of
So
this,
it's more like the. So it's more like the Jungle Book.
A little bit, yeah, a little bit. And so Kurt Jack is not like the leader of a group of gorillas. He's like the king of this tribe of monkey people, and he's insane. And he's the one who kills the dad, not Sabor. And Tarzan eventually beats him and takes over as king. And there's a
So
local.
when you say monkey people, do you mean like Journey to the West,
No,
like that kind of monkey person?
closer to like Yetis or Bigfoot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Interesting.
not gorillas. They're portrayed in this movie as being like gorillas, but they're as like hyper aggressive gorillas, but they're not gorillas. Um,
Interesting.
yeah, and so he speaks English. So when he meets Jane, he speaks perfect English, and it's like, oh yeah, he doesn't literally talk to animals. Like he is capable of reading and understanding body language of animals. So like he communicates with animals, but he doesn't literally speak to animals. Which I thought was like kind of interesting. Was, oh yeah, no, he's not literally talking to animals. Um,
In that way, that kind of makes me think of George of the Jungle as well.
yeah, or the original Doctor Dolittle, where it's like, yeah, he's just
Yeah.
reading animal body language. He's not literally speaking to animals.
Yeah.
And yeah, and so there's different tribes of these monkey people, and so they're not just gorillas. So you're not left being like, wait. And so also there was a question I asked eons ago where like I was like, oh, how come he's clean shaven? Like he has no body hair. Like he has like aphasia from like the scalp down. Like he has no hair. How is that
Yeah, yeah,
possible?
yeah,
And a mutual
yeah.
friend of ours was like, oh, he shaves. And it's like, oh yeah, that's because from when he's a kid to when he's an adult, he read his dad's library because his dad lived in the jungle for like a year before he's killed by Kurtjak. So he's got all these like journals and like books and shit.
Support.
Yeah, so Tarzan like teaches himself to read English. He just can't speak it because he hasn't heard it. And then he runs into like a missionary who teaches him English because Tarzan takes place in Africa where there are other tribes. And so then eventually one of the tribes kills Kala, his mom, and he like basically like tortures this village by like pulling pranks and like stealing their shit and stuff. And so the village thinks he's like this evil spirit and like and yeah, and so it's like yeah, he's a reasonably intelligent person who knows he's a human. Like he recognizes that he's a human being. He knows he's not a gorilla. And yeah, so it's just kind of like, oh my, I know shockingly little. So yeah, Margot Robbie, she's doing like a southern accent in this. So Jane in the original books isn't some like British chick who's there like sightseeing. She's a girl who's like
Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. She wasn't there sightseeing, Justin. She was there to study the gorillas.
well, in the original story and in this movie, she grew up in Africa and she lived at a at like a missionary or whatever with her dad. So she speaks like various African languages, tribal languages, and she understands animals and understands the jungle just like Tarzan does. So she's equally as confident. And again, she's also American. So it's just incredible how it's like, yeah, man, the Disney movie kind of just changed a shit ton, like quite a lot. Um, but yeah. I'm gonna wrap up. That I've just taught you a little bit about Tarzan. Um,
The more you
yeah,
know.
yeah, it's a bad. It turns out the Disney movie not a good adaptation. But that was female led movies. Kind of. It was movies with a female in it.
Actresses.
Actresses that we watched some movies. Jordan did Margot Robbie. So yeah, so it's interesting to
Jordan
summarize.
did not do Margot Robbie.
Justin
Jordan
did
did
Margot
Jennifer
Robbie. Jordan
Aniston.
did Jennifer Aniston.
Justin did Margot Robbie.
So it's interesting.
Jeez, you can't get our names right? Come on,
So
man.
it's interesting how like yeah, you're like, oh, Jennifer Aniston is largely the same, except for I would say the breakup. That's where she's kind of the least Jennifer Aniston, I would say, based on description. Whereas Margot Robbie, all of her characters are so different. I've picked such a swath of like, it's amazing how like each of these
Um,
characters is almost completely different.
I would say that in terms of difference, the breakup is a good one, and Picture Perfect is actually one where she's still doing a romantic comedy, so it's still lovey-dovey, but like that's where she really gets to be a leading role.
Yeah, yeah,
It's one of the few of the ones that I watched where I can honestly say like she gets top billing in that one. Like
yeah,
she is the leading lady. She is the main character in that movie.
yeah. But
Which maybe I just picked the wrong movies, but from the ones that I picked, that doesn't happen
I mean,
often.
you didn't pick any. She got a lot of really good, and I was kind of hoping you'd go. She's got some good stuff uh, within the past few years. Some really good dramas. She's done some like good dramas, but I understand why you gravitate more towards comedy. I'm not saying, but she does have some quite good dramas that she's quite good. So I
Well,
hear.
I mean, no, that's fair, but the issue is I haven't seen those. I had to
Fair.
pick ones that I've seen,
Yeah, fair.
and
Totally
the
fair.
ones that I've seen were mostly the not so great
Yeah,
comedies.
maybe you'll go
So,
back to Jennifer Aniston on another day. But with
on
that,
another topic.
we have to talk about what we're gonna do next week, which is we're just gonna pick a genre for next week. That's what we're gonna do science fiction. Um,
Science
but
fiction.
the number one thing is try not to be a basic bitch. So like you're allowed one Star Trek if you must pick a Star Trek. Don't do like all the Star Treks. And like don't do any Star Wars if you can avoid it. Like if you're feeling desperate, all right, maybe pick a Star Wars. I'll allow it. But I mean
I mean, I
Star
would
Wars is
only
technically
pick
not
a
a science
Star
fiction though, it's a
Wars.
fantasy. Kidding. But
I would
don't
only
be a
pick a
basic
Star
bitch.
Wars like as a rapid fire, maybe if I can't think of anything
If I were to do
else.
a Star Wars, I might do Rogue One because at least, but none of the trilogy, none of the or the the mainline ones. I think get creative, get original, do something different. I feel like the spirit of the
I
show is
know.
being.
I'll watch droids.
Go watch Ewok Adventure. Go watch one of the many Ewok movies. Um, but no, I feel the spirit of the show
Anywho,
is teaching people or sharing shit that people haven't seen. So let's get creative like we always do. But let's watch some science fiction stuff for next week. That'll be fun. But with that, this has been another episode of the Spur of the Moment podcast. Oh, real quick, I want to thank Haley once again. Right at the end of this, what is probably going to be a 3-hour podcast. I'm so sorry. I meant to do it at the beginning, but thank you once again, Haley, for coming on the show last week. We had fun. I hope it. I hope it was. It. I hope it. I hope you had a good time. That felt awkward, but I hope it worked out. I'm still
feel
down
free to
for
come
that.
back.
Feel free to come back. You're welcome, Jake, our podcast friend, anyone on the network. There's a new music podcast
Anyone really
called
who wants to come on.
anyone who wants to come on. I'm gonna vamp. You can contact if you want to contact the show. I'm gonna put. I have to update the Discord link, but come join us on Discord. You can recommend anything that is topically relevant to that week if you want. If you have any suggestions, that's a great place to leave it. You can email the show. It's justinsbusiness@gmail.com. Yes, that's the email, Jordan. Jordan, where can people find you?
I'm on Twitch on Mondays doing Minecraft Monday, and maybe
You can't. I'm there. I'm there every day posting content. The new podcast on the network. We want to welcome Leading the Band, which just real quick, it's a music podcast with Virus and Megan Star, and I'm not sure if there's a third girl. I'm not sure what her name is. I apologies. But that's new. I'm not sure when that premieres, but go check that out. Check out all of the other podcasts on the network. We have been on a few. Anyway, once again, thank you to Haley for being on the show last week. Anyone is welcome. We're not a music podcast, but if the music people want to come on, we can find a topic that'll be relevant to them.